Everybody, it's the Cryptid Huntress. I'm Jessica Jones. Welcome in to On the Hunt. My goodness, you guys, I've been gone all day. I've been at the UFO conference up in Blue Ridge, Georgia, and I also did go by Expedition Bigfoot. Shout out to everybody up at Expedition Bigfoot, including that Bigfoot lady. Oh my gosh, I had the best time. I actually walked in, I was shocked. She was like, "Are you Jessica Jones?" So yeah, it was fantastic, y'all. I've had the best day. It was really great. I was on the road a lot. I'm a little bit tired tonight, but we had a lot of time to think on that ride home, and we put a show together right as I was getting home tonight. I actually not only have just one amazing co-host tonight, I have two, and you guys are going to be tickled pink to see who I have here in the studio with us tonight. It's a fantastic duo. We're going to be a fantastic trio tonight, talking about when summoning UFOs goes terribly wrong. And we may have some experience with that, at least a couple of us. And also, I have some firsthand accounts, especially one out of Georgia we're going to talk about. It's very much anonymous, okay? And out of respect for the family and the person who contacted me about it, we're not going to give out names, but I would like to discuss this tonight. And so it's going to, like I said, anonymous. I can't even show you guys the actual pictures, but I got some that look very similar to what I've been shown. And as far as ETs peeking in the windows and stuff like that. So you guys go get the popcorn and get ready. We've got a fantastic show tonight. I have author E.D. Testerman, Eric, here in the studio. And also, yes, I have Barry Littleton here to join us tonight too. And man, we've got a fantastic show for you guys. Okay, first of all, before we get the show started too, I do want to give a shout out to everybody that was at that conference today. We had such a great time. I haven't had time to upload pictures. Man, I tell you what, it's been one of those days. Okay, so I have a picture we have Lynette and Marty. Thank y'all so much for coming to the conference today. Lynette and Marty, they are usually in our chat here on the channel, and they came from far and wide to come hang out with us today. And I laughed so hard with those ladies. They're so fun to hang out with, and they came and showed major support for me today at that conference. So I want to thank you guys so much for that. Also, I did get to go see my cousin Jesse. He did make this Bigfoot that's in front of Expedition Bigfoot. And those pictures are terrible, y'all. I'm sorry. The sun was glaring today. But he made that. And also this banner right here. This is his artwork as well. That is featured there on billboards that are going into the city and over there when you go in. Jesse also made that as well. Shout out to Jesse Duke. That is my cousin. And of course, you guys, please go visit this location. This museum when you come to Georgia. This is Amanda. She's the Bigfoot lady. You guys will find her on Instagram and all over social media. She runs things over there at Expedition Bigfoot for David. And she was just absolutely fantastic when I stopped by today. And they have the most fantastic setups there. All the displays. This is actually from a Bigfoot expedition. I think that's the head of that Yeti. Barry, I know you and I have talked about this before. It's like the top of the head of supposed to be from a Yeti in Nepal. Okay, they had the hand and the head there, by the way, and so I got my picture made with it, and my son. I had my son there being the photographer. He took a couple of good pictures today. Shout out to Ben. Thank you very much, bud. You did. You took a couple of good ones, so I appreciate that. But we had that, and speaking of Ben, that's Ben with his raccoon hat on that he had on today. We had just a blast. So thank you to everybody who made this entire day special for all of us. And I hope you guys learned a little something when it came to the UFOs that I talked about in my presentation today. It was great. Okay. Well, let's get to our show tonight, you guys, because we've got a lot to talk about. And I don't want to waste any time because we've got Eric and Barry here in the studio tonight. All right, let's go down the synopsis here. So we're going on the hunt tonight with author E.D. Testerman and Barry Littleton to explore what happens when summoning ETs and UFOs goes terribly wrong. Based on a case that I was involved with out of North Georgia involving a family's nightmare situation after the mother called in UFOs for fun. We're going to be exploring the fascination that people have with calling in UFOs, ETs, and even cryptids, and the dangers of what turned out to be the detriment and the harm to an entire family. I've noticed at this UFO, and I'm not just saying at this UFO conference, but at different events that I've been at, people are fascinated with calling in UFOs. I have been a part of doing that before, and it has worked. It does work if you know what you're doing, and it's not always very safe. Okay, so we're going to talk about that a little bit tonight. We'll talk about the good sides and the bad sides of it, because I'm sure some of you guys out there in the audience today have done it yourselves, or you're thinking about doing it. So let's go there. We're going to go there. This might be a little controversial tonight. I know Barry's going to bring some heat on it. I know that, and Eric will too. So, of course, I have Eric here in the studio. Eric is a disabled veteran and a single father of two amazing daughters. He loves to write and express his dreams in writing. He is an author of several books. He's got a Nordic background. Is it Nord? Oh, did I get that right? Yes. Okay. And he bases his novels off of sci-fi, cryptids, his Viking heritage, mythology, and Norwegian background, y'all. It's Norwegian. I think I got a little bit wrong. Sorry, Eric. He's always got his dog in his lap too. So we're going to get to see his dogs tonight. And speaking of dogs, before we go any further, it is Gus's birthday tonight. Let's see. Do I have Gus's picture in here? Oh, it's Gus, y'all. Gus, our furry moderator. He's 4 years old today. Please say a prayer to Gus. He's got a little health thing going on right now, so he's recuperating. But shout out to Gus. He got his little pup cup on a platter right there. He's 4 years old today. Thank you, Maureen and Gus, for being moderators and for being our good friends. And we hope Gus has a great birthday. We also have Barry Littleton here, y'all. Barry Littleton is a trailblazing researcher. He's been in the field for a long time. He's got a fantastic YouTube channel. It's called Barry Littleton, and a Patreon. So please go give Barry your support. He's a hypnotherapist. He's had personal contact with ETs and more cryptids as well. Please help me welcome to the show Author E.D. Testerman and Barry Littleton. Hey, what's up?
That way.
Hey, welcome in, y'all.
Hey, greetings. Thanks for having me, and nice to meet you, Eric.
Hey, nice to meet you too, Barry. I put in that chat that Yeti scalp, if I remember right, is the one that Josh Gates took a sample from, and it came back as like an orangutan or something. But I remember that scalp. I think it was him who did it. It was interesting, but yeah, Nepal. Yep, that one.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the one that came back. It was like yak hair.
Yeah, something like that. I remember.
Oh man,
I can't remember. I remember that scalp. When I seen that, I went, "Oh, I remember that."
Yeah. They have a display of Josh Gates. He actually got a plaster. He got a casting of a yeah. No, I was kind of surprised to see him in there, but there was a casting that he took this in the museum of a Yeti print. Okay, out of Nepal. Yeah, man, it must be nice to be able to travel the world and look for Bigfoot.
I saw that. I saw that episode. That's like that's the only thing they ever found in that entire show. There we go, going through the bushes and stuff, and they never find nothing. You know, I mean, he went to the island of the dolls. That was kind of interesting.
That one was a good one. That one was a really good one. I would love to go down there and do a paranormal investigation on that island. Dude, that place is wicked.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You guys, if you ever get a chance, if you ever come to Georgia, you got to go to the Expedition Bigfoot Museum. You've got to go there. It is so great. It's okay. So they even have displays of like Ape Canyon. Barry, you and I have gone over. We've talked about Ape Canyon. I think I did a remote viewing on it a long time ago.
Yeah.
And they have the whole scene set up where there's like beds and bunks, and like the men are like trying to shut the door, and one of us holding an axe up, and you can see the Bigfoot trying to get in. I mean, it's a full display there. It's amazing.
That's
And and you can put on headphones and listen to it. It's just wild, y'all. It's great. And it's funny walking in there and seeing a lot of people who are your friends on the wall there with their pictures and everything. It's funny. So yeah. But yeah. Well,
I gotta ask,
yeah.
was Josh Gates at the conference you were at? Is that what you were saying?
No.
Oh,
No.
okay.
His picture's on the wall at that
Okay.
museum.
Oh, gotcha.
And his cast. Yeah. No. But we did have a turnout today, though. We had a great turnout. Hey, Daryl. I see Daryl. What's up, Crayon?
Yeah.
So we did have a great turnout. The place was packed, wall to wall, people in it. Really, there was a lot of people there. It was a small conference, but there was a lot of people there, and it benefited the Fannin County Food Bank. And so I was really happy they had a good crowd there, and I met a lot of wonderful people, including some ladies who watched my show. Came down to visit and to come hang out with me. So shout out to you guys. And yeah, it was great. But I was sitting there, I was listening to the other presentations. We had a gentleman who's I think he's like the head of Alabama MUFON. Oh my God, he gave a fantastic presentation. And we were talking about some of the areas that I do my Bigfoot research, and we were making a lot of connections, he and I, and he was actually, I was surprised because in his presentation, he was really bringing Bigfoot into the UFO research heavy. Okay. And I was shocked because I did my presentation more kind of focused on UFOs because I knew it was a UFO conference. So I left Bigfoot out of my presentation, even though I'm a Bigfoot field researcher. I brought it in a little bit and Dogman too. But I saw there's a real fascination with people wanting to see UFOs and wanting to call them in and things like that. And I thought, man, it's cool. I've done it, but I also know the darker side of that. And I didn't say anything today at the conference, so I'm going to say it now because I had time to think about it. but it can be kind of dangerous. So I don't know. Have either of you guys ever, dibble dabbled in summoning UFOs?
No.
Eric, you haven't? No. You're just into ghosts and Bigfoot, right?
Oh, I love it all, but
yeah,
calling in UFOs, yeah, that can bring a whole new world of something I don't want to be a part of because you can call in something that ain't friendly, and there ain't no real good way to get a UFO. I know how to combat spirits and I know how to combat supernatural things, but UFOs, I have no freaking clue.
Yeah, what about you, Barry? Opens up a whole. This is like a whole can of craziness right here. We're going to be talking about today. And I'm scared. I'm kind of scared. We're just going to go tonight.
Well, I mean, I have a hard problem holding back anyway. All right, look, it's interesting you brought this up because I've taken heat for this before because I've criticized CE5 sometimes. Okay, and it comes down to this. Okay, look, people don't know what they're calling in and what's on board those craft. And my experiences with the whole CE5 thing is this. All right, so in 2017, which was the second time I got invited to speak at the ranch out there in Washington, the SETI, the one thing that they had every presenter do is you had to do a sky watch. So, and I started noticing quickly that the gentleman that ran that place was criticizing Greer, saying, well, when he went out, no ships came. They get him to clear the skies, and there's little contests going on between these cats of who could call in the most UFOs. Okay, so it's some sort of a status. Like if you can call in a bunch of them, you must be a much greater contactee than these other people. This weird thing going on, and then to couple that, so people don't know what they're calling in, who's on board those craft, And the people you're calling in those craft with, you don't know about them either. Are they trustworthy? Are there demon on board those negative inorganics? You don't know. And it's very serious. You know, there's a gentleman that I met that kind of in 2016 that I think kind of started some of the CE5, and his name is Costas Marquet. And he, the way he did it, like the protection they were doing before they do a CE5 type of thing, I think was really valid. You know what I mean? They weren't just calling things in rapidly. At least they're trying to do a protection with it and trying to do a global movement of calling in like contact is what he's trying to do. But that's but anyway, so that's a little different. But this thing of what you're saying, I understand people just going out calling those things in and not knowing what they are and the intent behind it. And it's very dangerous. You know what I mean? It really is. And the thing is that a lot of that stuff comes consciously later. You may see some of those craft, but then the night or two later, you're having dreams about demonic forces or about negative dreams, and you don't realize it's a part of that contact. You know what I mean? That's important because we have beings that can project other environments to us through the optical nerves consciously, to different environments, to different they don't look like. It's very dangerous. So that's where I'll leave it there. And I want to upset some people here, but it is what it is, man. You know, it's
Well,
the thing is, I've seen a comment in here about the military, and 100% the military deals with UFOs and aliens. I mean, that's just, sorry, you can't really disprove that now. It's pretty much known that's what's going on. Universe technology, working together, stuff like that. There's plenty of whistleblowers coming out about that. But they've been working together for a while and they know how to communicate. And, Joe Blow, me coming out of the backwoods of Missouri, I don't know daggone thing. I love watching them. I've seen my share. I've been dealing with UFOs since I was 9 years old. Love them to death. I ain't on one. I have no idea.
Yeah, it's probably best not to, right? And even myself, I've been pretty. Sometimes I've been uncomfortable a little bit out in the field, because I've got at least one team, ASOG, the Meadow Project team. We've gone out there and done the CE5 a couple of times, at least one real good time. And I'm sorry, y'all, my dog's snoring beside me. If y'all hear something, it's my dog. Okay. So my team has gone out there and it's kind of cool, but like I never felt like anything really happened when we did it. However, later we go back to the base camp after we do in the CE5 protocol. If anybody's familiar with that, if you're not, it's a series of tones. Okay. And I think that they say that the tones come from crop circle, like what is it? The stems of like the wheat and stuff, like they put some kind of microphone up to it and they get like this tone and this frequency and they record it. And there's these like protocols. It's like these things that you can play out in the field or at your house or wherever you go. And the problem with us is that whoever had it on their phone had to have internet service, and like there's no service out where we go. And so, but they would, we go back and then they download it and we use it out there. And it sounds just like a ringing tone. Okay. And it's supposed to call in spacecraft. And when we did it, we may not have seen it right off the bat, but then we go back to base camp and go to sleep that night and everybody have weird dreams and like downloads. And so we'd have to take note of that because we're having I remember my friend Tony had a dream one night and it was like Knox Magsby, like some weird name came through. And it ended up being like, we do research on these messages that come through and it's like the goddess of the night of the in little people or something like that. The night goddess of the little people. Yeah.
Okay, I got a question. So since you remote viewed the plasma balls that actually make crop circles and the message that you had gotten in that data, how would you correlate that and kind of either similarities or different than what you got when in the field when you're experimenting with these tones from crop circles? Or do you see any similarities there or connect any dots there? Lay it on me, Jones.
Well, that's an interesting question. When we're out in the field, we do get a lot of UFO activity out there. And I talked about that in my presentation today. Is the first time I ever went on a Bigfoot expedition. We had a low flying UFO fly over our head and hover over us. And it was a triangular craft. we knew that something had happened, but we didn't know quite what. We went back and some of the guys remote viewed it, and did a remote viewing session on it and saw exactly what happened. And that's what that was a causation of my entire team being trained in remote viewing, was that incident. Okay. And so it was cool that happened, but a lot of these things that I experienced personally, I've never taken it as negative or positive. It's just, it is what it is. And that's the way that is what I've experienced. And that's what a lot of these things, even when we do the targets, Barry, you've asked me before, like, what did I think? And I'm like, well, it's neutral. How many times have I told you that? I've told you that a million times. It's neutral. And I didn't get a bad feeling off of it. Now, I did tell the audience today at that presentation, I did mention, I did get, when we talked about the crop circles, I had to wrap it up because I talked too much. And so I went over my time. And so I was like trying to rush through the last 2 or 3 slides. And one of those slides was the crop circles and those orbs. And I did say, I believe they started off positive, bringing positive messages to humanity to advance us. And then they got corrupted at some point, and the messages aren't so good now. Okay. With some of them, and they are deceptive potentially, but I didn't have time to get into detail with that. Now I do have our good friend Adolf is in the chat. He put a comment out tonight. Says, yes, believe me, don't shine a flashlight at a UFO. They're looking for a response back. There you go. Now he was the subject of a documentary called 10/11/02. Adolf and his 2 friends, they were abducted out of the mountains in California. Had a really pretty terrifying experience, actually, that involved potentially some cryptids and aliens and abduction and stuff. That documentary is pretty fantastic. He's been on the show. He knows the dangers of stuff like this. He knows. And so we have gone out there, and oftentimes people take lasers and shine a laser at a UFO and point at it. I've done sky watches out in Las Vegas and Reno with the amazing Dave Scott, who, thank you, by the way, Dave Scott, for that super sticker. Dave Scott's in the chat with Space Out Radio. You guys, please go to Space Out Radio and follow them if you're not already. I had a show there for 2.5 years. And but we were there, and some of the people there had laser pins and were like pointing at the UFOs, and that's kind of a thing that people do. Barry, what do you think? How is that safe? What's your opinion? Everybody's got a different opinion on it.
Well, where I come from, it's just, air capital. You get in a lot of trouble for pointing lasers at aircraft.
Oh yeah.
So you got to be very careful with that. You know what I mean? Just standard first. Secondly, there again, when dealing with these craft and things, if you're looking to try to get attention and stuff of what you don't know, it's just not something I really just recommend very much of, or playing with lasers in that fashion. When I was in Asheville, they had some real interesting laser contraptions out in that field there that seemed to sometimes would excite some areas of activity. It would seem like, you know what I mean, in the sky. The more they sent 2 or 3 of those lasers up there moving around, it seems like it seemed to excite activity a little bit. So I don't know. It's, it's just, for me, all I can say for me, I had contact my whole life, and I tried to often initiate it and tried to make it happen. And it didn't work like that. Okay. That happened when they wanted to do it. It's just the way it is. You know what I mean? I tried numerous times to induce contact, and it just didn't work. Not maybe telepathic slightly, but not like a ship coming and having contact like that, or with non-humans. It just didn't work at my bidding. It's when they wanted it to happen. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I do. I do. I know, like, just putting myself out there in the field, doing the research that I do, I always say, like, I'm not provoking anything, but some would say that's provoking by just being out there in their environment and stuff, right? And just being there, it's like I'm asking for it, okay, to have abductions and things like that happen. But I mean, the only time I really can remember having up close ET contact, you guys, was in my bedroom at my own house with my doors locked and my windows locked. Everything was locked. Okay, they weren't supposed to be in my house. Okay,
that's why I was about to say I don't really subscribe to that, because they come into people's homes all the time. So that literally throws that theory out the window.
Right. Yeah, it does. And most people that I know that remember having contact with ETs, they are in their bedrooms, okay, and in their house. Now, I didn't go out there poking. I do go out poking around. Don't let me lie. I was poking around. I go out poking around, and I know, and I know that I got the attention, and I'm very vocal about that. The first time I went out and did that Bigfoot stuff, the Bigfoot stuff that I do all the time, and we had the orb in the mountain, the tree line, and we had missing time and things. You know, it's pretty much guaranteed if you're having missing time, you might have been abducted by an alien or a bunch of them. I don't know. I'm just saying, it's a possibility.
Or you're the victim of a pretty good drink.
Yeah, you blacked out on something. Yeah, but if you're sober, if you're totally tober, as I used to say back in college, you know, it's probably not. Maybe you just got blacked out. But however, I mean, it is what it is. Yes, I do go poking around, and but see, here's another thing too. Is like I remember waking up when I was a kid and a teenager, being surrounded by people or standing around my bed, and I've started thinking, well, I think maybe those were actually ETs, but I had a screen memory or something of there being people in my room, like Victorian era clothing wearing people around my bed. And now I think, well, maybe this has been happening to me my entire life. Mm-hmm. Does that happen, Barry? Because I know you do hypnotic regressions too. Oh, go ahead, Eric.
No, go ahead, Barry. I'll let him answer.
Go ahead, man. I
was going to say, you were talking about period-based clothing. Believe it or not, I've done a lot of paranormal stuff, and you'll get that in paranormal. So, I mean, that very well could have been something paranormal, or, and I say this is possible, that they projected, if it was alien, hey, Kent, you're badass. Thank you, dude.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
If it is alien, they could have projected that image in your mind to keep you calm, to keep you where you're not freaking out. I believe that's a possibility, which I have a question for you guys when you're done with all this discussion. But that's also an aspect you have to consider when dealing with these things. One side of it could be paranormal. One of it could be alien, because obviously they're going to have that kind of technology. There's plenty of reports out there dealing with extraterrestrials and then projecting an image into your brain to keep you from freaking out from seeing them. So yeah, it can go either way. But I'll let Barry finish. Then I have a question for both.
Yeah, that's true. They can definitely do that and project different things to you. In that way, though, it's kind of interesting that you saw that, because it could also be for everything. One is the environment you were in was at a haunted location you were in, and you were seeing something that's an echo of the past.
Yes.
That's something else. So yeah. So that'd be one thing too. You have mediumship abilities. You're not just psychic, you're also medium. They're different, Every medium is a psychic, but every psychic is not a medium. They're different gifts. So you might have been picking something up in that way, or it could be just like what Eric just mentioned, is that, you have these beings running, they're giving you a screen memory. And, you've got beings that are using those gray type of creatures, and some of them, they use that virtual reality scenario technology. And that is something that some of these beings need technology. Some of them don't. They can do it consciously to us. So you could have been experiencing that too. I would advise a regression on it. Your superconscious knows what happened exactly and who it was and what it was. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it almost sounds apparition-like. Were you touched or anything like that, or they were just present?
Mm-mm. They were just present when it was the human, and these are solid humans. These are not like ghosts. To me, they look like solid, just like us, like a person standing by the bed. One was standing, one was sitting. The one time that I had the Victorian couple beside the bed, but it was the week my brother died. Okay, so that was wild. And they kept speaking to me telepathically, and I could hear them, but I noticed their lips weren't moving. And so they just kept saying, thank you, thank you, thank you, and like comforting me. And I woke up thinking, I wonder if that was like family. If it was somebody who lived in this old house that I was in. Like, Who the heck was that? Because it seems so real. I actually drew, I drew it when I woke up the next morning. I like sketched a drawing of what they look like while I had it fresh in my memory.
You know what I think is the most important thing about that?
What?
The message you just described.
Mm-hmm.
You got a very positive message. I think that is a really major thing about that event that should not be discounted at all. Were you helping souls cross over? Did you try to help your brother cross over or something like that?
No. Well, this was right fresh when my brother died, and so I was very distraught. I had after this happened, I had just had my boyfriend back in 2001 had completed suicide, as we call that. Okay, I know you're not supposed to say that word on YouTube, but I don't care. Okay, and that was really tough, and I had helped cross him over. Actually, at some point, okay, but we had also there's a lot to it. Okay, there's more to all this. Of course, it's always deeper. Okay, but there was something to do with the organ donation and stuff. Now I look back and I've always regretted all that. I did personally with my brother, and I was the only person in the family that was against it. I mean, I was very much against it, and we did it anyways. The family did. So and I was told by a psychic later that they were coming to thank me because some of their family had gotten his organs and were able to live through him. So that's what I was told. I don't know, So, but anyways. I still thought they were aliens after a while,
Thanks for sharing that. That was heavy.
Mm-hmm. It's heavy, right?
The investigative side of me is going to come out for a second, so I apologize ahead of time. Curiosity, kills the cat. We all know that. Did you by chance read a book, watch a movie, or go to a museum that had that period-based clothing in it prior to this vision?
I mean, I loved Anna Green Gables and stuff. I don't know. Probably. I probably did as a kid. But, this was when I was in when that happened, I was in my early 30s. Yeah. Okay. So there's no telling. I was actually watching the first 48 every day back then, probably. So probably not.
The reason why I asked is if that's something that you are tied to as a peaceful thought, what am I looking for?
Like an endearing,
safe, that could be why that if it was alien related, why they came to you in that image. Now, I mean, paranormal is going to be paranormal. Paranormal ain't going to change. But if it's alien based and they chose that image to put upon you, I was wondering because I didn't know if it's something you just watched or if it was something comforting to you, and that's why they chose that look.
Well, think about this, Eric. How many people have you ever taught? I know you're into the paranormal. A lot of people we talk to, we question, like, why are so many ghosts seen in Victoria era clothing? Why? It's like, why are none of the ghosts wearing, they're not wearing 1980s clothes. They're not wearing 1990s clothes. They're not wearing even 2000s clothes. They're wearing Victorian era clothing. Why?
I get a little bit of everything. I get a little bit of everything. There's something you got to consider. Back in them time frames, we didn't have, we did at one time, but it was lost to us. So the medicine or the practices needed to help somebody when they just got a freaking splinter, or a cold or something. They didn't have that accessible to them at the time. So, deaths during childbirth, child deaths, accidents, stuff like this was very, very high back in them days. It was actually not very common to live past your 50s. It was just something always happened. Either nature got a hold of you, wildlife got a hold of you, accident got a hold of you, or sickness did. So you got to consider that when you're thinking about this paranormal stuff as well. But it was just kind of curiosity because it hit me in my head about that comforting thing. If it was aliens, and that's why they projected to you in that way, was because it was a comforting thing for you.
Also, the house that I was at was it was not actually the home where I lived. It was at a friend's house. I was staying there because I was so distraught and stuff, and I needed to be with a friend at the time. I guess everybody knew I didn't need to be by myself at that time. And and the house was in an old train yard in Atlanta. and very historical. And I had already stayed at this house before, and I knew there was a ghost in it. I knew there was. I'd seen it, and I would stay up at night watching a shadow figure walk back and forth through the living room. And so I was very familiar with the ghost in this house. I knew it. Everybody thought I was crazy, I'm sure, if I ever brought it up. But I knew there was something there, and it just paced back and forth in the living room all night, anytime I'd be there. And so waking up to that was not shocking. Okay. It was not shocking. Living the life that I've lived and knowing what I know and seeing what I've seen. But that's interesting. I think they may have been tied. It was either a screen memory or they were tied to that land and that house. For sure. It was very historical.
That's what that's what I picked up when you first said it, is that they were almost, present at that land, especially. You know what I mean? That's and, which is not uncommon, I don't think, at all. No. Sometimes just alone, we have houses and land that just holds echoes of the past, even. You know what I mean? And that creates these projections, with that psychokinetic energy. So all that kind of thing can happen there in a location like that.
People don't understand, and I've said this many times on my show. I've said it on William's show. You and me were talking about it backstage, Jessica. People do not understand the amount of paranormal activity that's around them every second of the day. It is. I pick up on that stuff lots of times. Trust me, you people are surrounded 24/7 by paranormal activity, no matter where you go. So, were you dealing with what we call a residual haunt, where it was just a form of energy that was left behind, repeating the same process that it had done its entire life? It's not coherent, it's not intelligent, it just repeats the same process over and over and over. Residual haunting. Whereas an intelligent haunt that can talk to you, that can communicate, can move things, do things. That is two things. That's two difference between them. But you have both of those styles around you 24/7.
Oh yeah, you do. Well, I just when somebody suggested that, or somehow I came to that realization that it might have been a screen memory from an abduction experience. It made me start questioning things. I like thinking outside the box, and Boo the Beagle does too. Thank you, Boo the Beagle. You're the best. You're a huge supporter of me. I appreciate you. It says, I'm really concerned with the ethics and morality of summoning, of UFO summoning. It can get dark really fast. I think people need to be careful. Man, I do too. And so there is that fine line there. Okay. And I wanted to be really gentle about talking about this tonight. Okay. So I brought my two bulls in the China shops on the show. I'm just kidding. I love you guys. No, talk about it because I think that it's a conversation that needs to be had with this in a lot of ways, in a gentle way. Okay, a gentle way, just to look at the pros and the cons of it, because I think it is cool. There's a major fascination with people summoning UFOs and whatnot, but there's also a big danger to it. Okay, and so thank you for that super sticker, Boo the Beagle. I appreciate you. Okay.
Yep. I do have a question for both of you, and this was taught when we was talking about the subject of crop circles. So I love history. Now, if anybody has ever listened to me, I love history. I love ancient history. I think that ties in together with everything cryptid, paranormal, supernatural, whatever it is. History is tied to it. I mean, you can look up evidence of things that people want to dispute, and you can either find it or not find it. So one of the most common things, and this is dealing with religion throughout history, is frequency. Mother Earth has a frequency. We're tied to that frequency. Everything has a frequency. And you were talking about sounds. This is my opinion, and I'll ask you what your guys is. I'm a firm believer that UFOs, aliens, all also have a type of frequency that you can pick up on. Like when I'm doing paranormal stuff and I'm feeling out the area, is this good entities? Is this bad entities? And I always explain it to people. It's like a feeling you get. It's that energy. It's that frequency that you're tapping into to know, okay, am I coming into a building that's got some really nasty stuff, or am I coming into a building that is kind of calm? Like it was Friday when I did that investigation at Springfield Commercial Club, and I took my daughter for the first time. It was a calm feeling. So I was like, I'm bringing her in. If I had any negative, I would not have done it. I'm a firm believer in UFOs and aliens. It's the same concept, which comes back to what I was saying earlier. It's not a good idea to summon them because you can summon something bad. I believe you can pick up on that frequency. Do you guys feel the same way?
Yeah, what do you think, Barry?
Oh, I was with you. Absolutely. Frequency, vibration. Yeah, absolutely. And it's like the same way that when being around actually like some people, you get an absolutely negative vibe from them. The same thing comes with these whether it be non-human intelligent or any of this psychic type of thing or these paranormal type of stuff. It's this feeling, like I said, a frequency, and it's like you get a positive one, it's a negative. Like you've been in some places that are a haunted house that just feels negative. And I always feel sorry when somebody goes and rents a house like that or moves into a house like that. The first thing I'll ask them is, do you have problems with the plumbing? Well, yeah. How'd you know that? You see that goop coming out of there, like that dark black stuff. Hey, yeah. How'd you know that? Haunted house. They didn't move over to the garage and get into their to the liquids of the car, mess up the transmission and things like that. And they're trying to create havoc, financially, so the people will leave. What that is a lot, but you get that feeling immediately when you go into an environment like that, and it's rather you be, you don't have to be a medium or a psychic to just pick up on that. So I would agree. And when it comes to contact, it's quite similar. I mean, like I'm fortunate. My contact has been positive, but it's still weird, and it still disrupts your life, positive or not, just because it's so. The frame of perception is hard to keep it. You don't have a frame of perception for what you're experiencing a lot of the time. So that's something else that's a little different in that. But I would agree with that. The different frequency stuff, brother, especially when it comes positive and negative, because we're truly energy beings, and this is dealing with energy. Just like so much of our energy is tied up in negative self and negative identities. And that can create, you get a powerful person, like you mentioned earlier, Eric, and that can create actually psychic phenomenon like poltergeists around them. It's your own energy of the negative self doing that. And so much of us is tied up in that it stops us from being somewhat magical perception-wise.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Barry, everything you just said, it hit home, both of y'all. Okay. And I lived in that haunted house over in Atlanta. And I had poltergeist activity out the wazoo, as I like to say. Mm-hmm. And I woke up and a vase. I showed that vase on air, and people were like, "That's a bong." No, it was a vase. I promise. It had a flower in it, y'all. Okay, and it did look like it though.
Had the flower.
It had a flower. It really did. But I watched this thing levitate across my night table, and it sat in the air for a minute until it crashed to the ground, and it didn't break. And I had hardwood floors. It should have crashed and broken. But I watched it fly off and then levitate in the air until it fell.
Boy, that's a strong one there. That's a strong one.
Oh no. Oh, but the pipes broke. The pipes busted in my apartment, and it looked like blood was dripping out of my walls, like literally out of my walls. And it was because the pipes had busted, and I had to evacuate that place for like a week. I had dreams of an old man that was always in my dream that I would communicate with. He was there. I had masses of black flies, like blankets of black flies that would coat my ceiling in the hallway at night when I'd come home from being out late at the bar.
This old man, what was he telling you? What was he saying? What was his communications with this old man? He wouldn't
say a word. He was always washing his hands. I would meet him in the front bathroom of my grandparents' house, and he'd always be in there washing his hands. And I would always try to tell him, "Hey, I'm here to live harmonious with you. We're here together. We might as well get along." And he would just look at me and just wash his hands in the sink, and he wouldn't say anything. It was the same dream. I'd have it all the time, where he would just come in and communicate with me through that dream, but he wouldn't say a word. Okay. But whatever was in that house was very dark. I mean, I got pushed down by a black mass that floated into my kitchen one night. It literally knocked me down. So it was horrible. It was a terrible place to live. It was fun. I like living there, but
you're hunting there.
It was scary. It was very dark.
A lot of what you're describing sounds so much supernatural, more so than paranormal. just because of level activity and everything that's going on, man, that is damn near. That is right on the line of being supernatural. And
it was also me though too. It was me. You know, the PK abilities might have been for me. That vase going, you know, lifting up, and it may not have been a ghost. It might have been me. Okay, so
that's true.
And
but
I'm aware of that.
Yeah. I don't know, man. That's always wicked when you run into something like that. You know, we've had conversations before on your show and on my show about orbs and Bigfoots, you know, and I've always posed you this question here. Bigfoots are a natural entity, a living creature. So I believe that when they pass on from this realm, they also become spiritual, just like we do. So when you're doing paranormal research and you're finding these orbs that are actually paranormal orbs, I'm a firm believer that is after Bigfoot, but you also got a very supernatural entity to it called the Fae. Now, your pixies will come across almost like an orb, and they are a part of nature, the same as Bigfoot. So there's always a distinction between these two things, even in the paranormal, even in the cryptid, even in the supernatural field. And that's something as investigators we got to look into. Is it this, or this? You've got to knock down the possibilities to get to what the result is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I was kind of listening to you. I was like, man, this is sounding like this, sounding like this. But yeah, your kinetic abilities, I didn't factor that into the
I've always had little PK abilities. I know. Don't come after me, 3-letter agencies trying to get me to work for you. I won't.
I'm going to hardly be the new X-Men.
Okay, but this is also the house where I had the black-eyed person show up at my door too. Okay, so
I knew it was going to be the same place. I knew it. Yeah,
it was. Yeah, it was the same place. I want to thank Kent Baxter real quick for that super sticker. It says, "Great guest again, Jessica, but I wouldn't expect anything less from you." Thank you, Kent. That is so sweet. You're amazing. I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't know. I think it was the land and the home that was haunted. I don't think it was all me. I think it was the land in that house. Because when I moved away from there, I didn't have all those problems anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they stayed there. But I did have an attachment that went home with me. I did. I had that Civil War soldier that attached to me. He said that he attached to me at that house, and also a little girl. I had a couple of attachments that followed me from that house and latched onto me. But anyways,
Earthbound spirits. And something that Eric just mentioned earlier, that there's paranormal around us and activity around us all the time, and absolutely. And I've said it before. That's based on the work that I've done now, that the earthbound spirit population on this planet is as numerous as the living, if not exceeding it. I swear. And it gets really creepy. I mentioned that before. I did a crossing over one that was an earthbound that attached the client in the hospital. And this was a client that knew how to protect themselves, but they kind of had a difficult time in this operation, and this lady had joined with him. And she kept saying, there are others that were trying to join, but they weren't strong enough. But I was able to do it. And then just before I got to cross over, I said, "Oh, by the way, you said there are others in the room trying to join. How many?" And they said, "Oh, somewhere between 36 and 50, 55, I think it was." WTF, man? But it really is like a slap in the face. You're like, wow, okay. And that's when somebody's in the hospital, laying on a bed there just after an operation. Is that not reassuring, my friends, or what?
Yeah. I'm sorry. I couldn't resist. I read that pop-up he had there for a second. Can I pet that dog?
Can I pet that dog? That's one of my favorite little videos. That little girl, she's trying to pet a bear. She goes, "Can I pet that dog?" Can I pet that dog? Can I pet that dog? Oh my gosh, yes. We have some great comments tonight. We have a wonderful chat tonight. And thank you to all my moderators, y'all, for being here tonight. Y'all are amazing. Just thank you to everybody for being here. And I guess let's kind of backtrack a little bit and go back to the UFOs, summoning the UFOs, because I want to get into that story a little bit. Now, out of respect, I was asked back then to see when this happened. I don't believe that I can't remember if I had my channel already or not. I think I might have had a show. It was just a couple years ago. I had my shows. I don't think I had I wasn't like full throttle doing shows on my channel yet when this happened. But the person who contacted me about this was very upset. Some good friends of his were having issues and with potential ETs, right? And I tell y'all, all roads, okay, the head of my team always said, all roads lead back, when it comes to Bigfoot, all roads lead back to ETs. And we're sitting here trying to figure out ETs, alien abductions. I'm reading all these books on it because I'd had some experiences out in the field. And then I had the missing time. And then we had the ETs in my bedroom on 2 different occasions. And so if I'd learned anything, I learned that it's hard to control any kind of interaction with the ET. Okay. You just can't. Like, what do you do? And so when I was contacted, they were kind of panicked, and like I said, it's going to remain anonymous, okay? But they were panicked, and it was a family. I'm just going to give you a little rundown, anonymous rundown, okay? Very vague, but you're going to get the point across. There was a family who the mother had learned to call in UFOs. Okay, and I was familiar with this because when I was about, I'm going to say like 10 to 12 years ago, I was up in Cherokee, North Carolina, with Chief David and my cousin Jesse, and some other people. And we were up there camping out, and he had a staff with a crystal on it, and he would call in the sky ships over Cachers to come over and hover over us. And it worked 2 nights in a row. He called in the sky ships over Cachers. This is a thing. You can look it up online. They are spaceships that hover over Cachers, North Carolina. And he called them in, and they would there were 4 of them, and they were all around the top of the mountain where we were camping out. So I witnessed with my own eyes, and it was all weekend, spaceships hovering over us that Chief David called in. Okay. Close. They were close to us too. And they blinked red, blue, green, red, blue, green. Okay. And I'll never forget that. So I was familiar with that. Okay. Well, let's fast forward to this incident. A family, I was sent a series of pictures, and that's what really got my attention. There were these pictures of ETs looking in a window, and it was different ETs. They had their heads turned in some pictures. There were some that were taller than others. There were some that were standing in the front and some in the back. It was a lot of ETs. And this is just a normal family. Okay. Like an average everyday suburban family. And they were panicked. They were looking for answers. The backstory goes, the mother learned how to call in UFOs, and she thought it was fun. And so she would invite her friends over, and she'd say, hey, look what I can do. And she would call in these UFOs. They'd hover over the house, and she thought it was great. But then her kids started not waking up for school in the morning. Okay. And they would be disheveled every morning. And then their grades started dropping severely. And things were just going on. There was something wrong, but they couldn't put their finger on what was going on. And at some point they felt like they were being watched at night. And so they set up cameras in their house. And that's where they started getting these pictures of all these aliens looking in their windows at night. Huh. And they were panicked and didn't know what to do, and reached out for some help. And I personally know there was someone I know who was able to help in some capacity. I, however, didn't know what to do. I was like, well, I'll try to send some energy that way to try to protect the home, But Barry, what would you suggest in an incident like that? Like, what would you suggest? I mean, I told them to tell her, stop doing what you're doing. Okay. Stop it. Don't do that anymore. But what's done is done. What would you suggest?
On my channel, I have a video that I entitled "When Tricksters Pretend to Be Aliens." And those to me sound like demons, demonic, looking inside the house on board those craft. Whether they're doing it psychologically, screen memory or not, they're negative forces. And she was calling in negative forces and ceased that immediately. You know what I mean? That's we have these things that are like telepathic hypnosis, and the things that these creatures can do that are of a demonic or negative inorganic beings. They're called all sorts of different things, but that's what you're dealing with more than anything. And that's what was interacting with them for a long time. And what you just described, the children going through, sounds more like possession to me than contact.
Really? I never even thought of that. I didn't think about that.
You're destroying their lives. attack,
Mm-hmm.
attacking their energy field, attacking their consciousness. Yeah.
God, so for me, I'm learning right now. I'm learning, but I'm assuming that a lot of people in the audience are learning this too, or are coming to this realization too. People are always asking, are aliens demons? Right? We talk about that a lot, Barry. Right? Are aliens demons? Well, maybe they're demons parading around as aliens.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think the demon will take shape of something that you fear, so they can feed upon your fear and take control of you easier. It's going to weaken you. So if you fear aliens, that thing is going to take the shape of that alien to wreak havoc on you. Now, I personally, I think aliens are something totally different than demons, or what we know if you go on the Anunnaki side of it, the good and the bad Anunnaki, angel, demon on the Anunnaki. It depends on Root's realm. I think there's something different. But a demon will do that. A demon, like people mistaken things all the time. They say glowing eyes, glowing red eyes. Glowing red eyes is more demonic, where you have like a red reflective eye, which is something more natural. And that's why I always caution people, what is it? Is it an actual red glowing eye, or is it a red reflective eye? There is a difference between the two. Now, in that instant, fear takes hold, adrenaline is spiked, and sometimes you can't determine the difference between the two. You have to consider that as well. But yeah, I agree with Barry. I think to me, it sounds very demonic. Very, very demonic.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I didn't even think about that. So they basically needed an exorcism at their house.
Sea salt and wrought iron is a good step to start.
And more than that, it's the old, like I tell people, never put those welcome mats in front of your house. Okay, that is welcoming in stuff that you might not want there, and she's welcoming them in. You know what I mean? And that's like, whether it be vampiric or whatever, they all have to be invited in. That's an open invitation. And that's definitely not good.
I mean,
I'm sorry they went through that.
Think about the legends with vampires. Vampires can't enter the home unless you welcome them in. Same with a lot of other supernatural entities. They can't come in your home unless you welcome them in. I'm not 100%
black-eyed kids like that.
Huh?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. The black-eyed children would always ask to come in too.
They will. But and that's why a lot of people misunderstand when it comes to either the natural born werewolf, which is what we call dogman, or the magically created werewolf, which is what we know as werewolves. They're not the same as demons. They are different. Bigfoot is different. When you're dealing with vampires, when you're dealing with demons, you're dealing with something that's something, the djinns, they're supernatural. They have a different law that they have to go by versus something natural. And this is what people mistaken on these things quite often. If you do have one that comes in your home, say your child accidentally brought one in your home without thinking about it. People don't realize you have the authority and the power of your home. If you do not take charge of your home, they will wreak havoc on your home. You get them out. First thing you do is once you get them out, you cleanse it. Cedar, sweetgrass, sage, cleanse your home. Bless it with the holy man. Once that's done, stick in the four corners of your home, put sea salt and wrought iron, and then also do that on your property. Create a barrier. There's a reason why our graveyards back in the old days had wrought iron around them. That was to keep spirits in. We no longer do that no more. A lot of our homes had wrought iron around the home. That was to keep spirits from coming in, was to keep them out. There's something we as humans have forgot. That's practices of the old ways.
Whoa. Yeah, I noticed a lot of houses around where I live have that haint blue paint on it to keep the ghosts away, I guess, and bought those blue bottles and stuff on their trees outside and things like that. A lot of down home southern superstitious things going on around here. I personally am still looking for a not welcome mat Okay, I'm still looking for not welcome. Not welcome. Go away. Even at Halloween, like go, go look. I'm always looking for one of those. I haven't found one yet. So there's no mat outside my door.
Hey, something. I want to bring something up real quick, okay? Because we just kind of talked about. I was talking about how tricksters, when they pretend to be aliens and things.
Mm-hmm.
But something that I've noticed even before doing the work too much, which was that people that may not know that they're contactees, what a lot of the times they'll have though is an intense fear and dislike of clowns.
Oh God.
Well, you get those types of grays and things. They use the screen memory. They use are clowns quite a bit.
Oh my God, Barry! You know that I had clowns in my bedroom, right? As a kid, I had clown dolls in my rocking chair as a kid, and I hated those. I hated them.
Do you remember Poltergeist? You remember the kid, the dude, not Carol Ann, but the dude? He was sitting there looking at that rocking chair. There's a clown in there. He's always looking at it.
I'm getting anxiety right now.
But I mean, a lot of times I found that people will realize that the clowns, the reason why they have such an aversion to clowns is because it's a screen memory. For the negative one that those grays use. Yeah. Food for thought, because I'm feeling that there's somebody in the chat that
it's probably me.
It's completely right there with us.
Well, I mean, I remember having
that's interesting.
Yeah, I had a rocking chair in my bedroom. I also had there was an owl that my father had found on our property that had died, and he had it taxidermed. It was beautiful, and it was this huge owl, and it had its wings out, and it had this look like it was like, okay, if you can imagine, it looked like it was on the attack, right? And it was in my bedroom. And whenever we'd have a storm, I was telling somebody earlier today, like I lived on a farm. We lived on a farm. I had lace curtains. I hated those freaking curtains because I lived in the middle of nowhere. We had 0 neighbors for miles, except for my aunt and my cousin. And but my mother put up lace curtains, and that's all we had. And I always felt like I was being watched when I was a kid. And whenever it would storm, the lightning would strike, and all I would see were clowns and an owl in my bedroom. Those are like the 2 main screen memories for alien abductions, right? I mean, am I right or am I right?
Yes.
Yeah.
In fact, I know some contactees that have seen, like some friends of mine, they've seen an owl, an unusual large owl somewhere, and then things get very hazy around that. Sorry to interrupt you, Eric. I'm sorry.
No, you're good, Litchi. Do you know the story behind the owl? How the owl was created? If you go by Native American lore, an owl most commonly is an omen of death or sickness. Something bad is about to happen. There was a spirit amongst the sky people who thought he was as great as the great creator, the great mystery, the great grandfather. Thought he was just as powerful as him. So he wanted to prove this, and so he created a bird that did not make a sound when it flew. So he created the owl. So since then, in most native cultures, the owl is a symbol of death or sickness. It's a bad omen.
Oh my gosh. Well, my cousin, I don't know if he's ever talked about this publicly, but my cousin Jesse, the one that made the Bigfoot in front of the museum in Georgia, he and his mom were driving home one night down there. They lived down a long driveway out in the country. Okay. And they were driving home one night, late at night. And there was a gigantic white owl and a baby owl with it in this tree. Okay. Now, if you've heard my story before, you know that our Jesse and our great grandmother and our great aunt, our shared great grandmother, had a possible alien abduction back in the 1980s in Georgia, where a light came down over their car. They said the last thing they remember is looking up, and then they were 2 counties over, a county over, and it was like 20 miles down the road. And an hour or 2 later, they don't know how they got there. Okay, that was in the 80s. That's our grandmother, our great grandmother. And so he and I have always had contact, like some kind of weird things going on. My aunt, him, a lot of people, few people in our family. Okay, maybe it's just us, but we say it's few. There's a few people have had this contact, and but he saw this owl, And they always thought, there was just something off about that. Something very off about this. I mean, it was a white owl and a mama owl and a baby owl in the tree in their driveway as they pulled down the driveway. That's not normal at all. Okay. But anyways, I just thought I'd share that.
When I had my Sasquatch experience, that thing had no problem disrupting me with owl sounds that I think was almost some type of infrasound. Not enough to hurt me, but it was doing something. I think it was tagging us is what it was doing. And when it comes to like, especially when you deal with any like totems that are like hawks or eagles, an owl is a very serious threat. Because if you've ever seen an owl, like in a day, sometimes you'll see these hawks come out and just attack the heck out of an owl. And during the day, it's because during the day that owl's going through scanning those nests, and it's going to come attack at night when those hawks are helpless. They're not nocturnal creatures. They're avian by day.
Yep, I had one across the front of my truck the other day when I was coming home from work. I had gotten off early. In fact, it was last Thursday, not this Thursday, but last Thursday it happened. And of course, I was like, oh, crap. This thing just flew in front of my truck. And then right after it flew in my truck, there was this older woman and these two children trying to cross the country road. And I was flying around. I ain't going to lie. On a country road, I may or may not partake of a speed limit. Usually it's the one that I recommend.
Pull the Hassel County man.
It's a little worse when I'm on my motorcycle. I was like, oh crap. But owls, I use owls too when I'm turkey hunting. Because anytime a hoot owl hoots, a turkey is going to call out. So at nighttime, when I'm trying to figure out where the turkey are nesting, I stand out on my front porch and I'm going, ooh, 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 and I listen and I'll hear them. And then, okay, I know where you're at. So I know where to set up in the morning to get me a turkey. Now, we have owls here all over, and I'll sit out there. They'll come in. They'll, ooh, 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 and then I'll sit there and talk back and I'll bring them in close to the house at night. And it'd be a conversation amongst me and 3 or 4 others.
Oh man, I did that before. I did that before. I got chased down. It sounded like a rabid monkey chasing me through the neighborhood when I hooted back. I did just like what you did, Eric. And I don't do that anymore because I know what it sounds. And so it's really odd because I just saw somebody in the chat. Actually, first of all, Maureen and Gus, thank you for that super sticker. I appreciate that so much. She says gas money from Gus. Thank you. And it's Gus's birthday. So happy birthday to Gus, y'all. Okay. Somebody in the chat, I don't know if it was Mike. It is Mike. He said an 800-pound owl was going to throw a tree trunk through my truck window.
I've heard.
All right. We've had a lot of times Bigfoots will imitate owls. Okay. 800-pound Bigfoots will imitate an owl. And so, but here's another thing too, is like, I know from experience that owls sound like monkeys. Okay. I've experienced it. I've been chased down, y'all. I was chased down. Like I ducked and I ran because it was relentless chasing me too. And it was pissed. I'd said the wrong hoot. Okay. I hooted the wrong hoot or something. And so I know what it sounds like. And so a lot of times when people will hear owls in the woods, when they think it's a Bigfoot or something, and it's just an owl. Okay. But sometimes Bigfoots, it gets confusing because sometimes Bigfoots will imitate those owls. And but a lot of times if they imitate an owl, they can't keep character. Does that make sense? They can't keep their character the whole time. And they will eventually start laughing, or they will eventually make a noise that you can tell it's not really an owl. If that's
what they did to me. That's what happened to me. And it was disturbing. It was like suddenly it turned into like a humanoid purposely trying to mess up an owl call. You know what I mean? When it was just bingo at first, and very disturbing. Then it did that to let it know that okay, something's wrong here. Hey, so we're talking about Sasquatch. I can ask a question, okay? I don't want to get us too far off topic. Have you two often heard the term desert Bigfoot, desert Sasquatch?
I've heard it a time or two.
I have not.
Actually, I have. That is prominent around Arizona and New Mexico, if I remember correctly, or was it Texas? I think it was Arizona and New Mexico, I believe.
Well, check this out. I was listening to something earlier, actually, around the time you messaged me, Jessica, and it was by the Bigfoot Project. I like that lady. And this one was called Bigfoot Surveillance at Edwards Air Force Base. It was just released a few hours ago. And, you know, there's some very interesting supposed witness accounts on there that she's going over.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard this before, that at certain Air Force bases that Sasquatch are seen there all the time, and that they don't really do anything as far as hunting them or doing anything with them because they don't want the public to think that they can't control the base, that they've got Bigfoot running around out there. But they specifically at Edwards, I kept hearing that term, desert Bigfoot. Yeah, so I just think that's really interesting. I'm sorry, I don't want to get us off topic, but I mean it's a trip. That's starting to come up more and more now, and I think the realistic of it is fascinating. You know, you both had mentioned that how the military knows about them, but it's only 10 minutes long. But I advise anybody to listen to it. It's kind of interesting.
I'll give it a thumb up because I had gotten a request.
You got a request to do a turkey call at I was going to call you Ed, Eric, ED. Get you a sip of water and get you a turkey call on, please. I bet you have caught some turkeys doing that too. I guarantee it. That's good. I remember when I was a kid, my dad had those turkey collars you put under your tongue or in your mouth, and it makes that noise. I mean, and I was pretty good at, figuring out how to sound like a turkey when I was a kid.
I haven't used one of those at Coon's age. I mean, I think I was probably somewhere around 15, 16 the last time I ever used one of those. I got a pretty little hen that sits in my closet there, and she comes out there in springtime, and I can ventriloquize her.
That's great. It's great to know the ways that humans can sound like animals, knowing that Bigfoot sound like animals too. I don't know. It's wild, but there is just something a little bit off when you hear a Bigfoot making owl noises or any other kind of sound. It's just a little bit off. It's almost like your gut saying there's something off with that. That's not what I'm hearing. Sometimes they'll moo like a cow. And that's happened with our team. They bark like dogs. They even try to sound like humans sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I've actually heard that samurai chatter. And whenever I came inside and grabbed my parabolic mic to record it, I took it out there, but it was raining so hard that the parabolic mic got distorted by the rain and didn't pick it up. So I was so pissed. But it was interesting because shortly after Mom passed away, I ended up buying the property off of Dad. And Dad bought him a camper and was staying here for a little bit till he's getting ready to move out. Well, I was in that camper with him watching a movie, and I kept feeling something shaking the camper and it sounded like something small walking on top of the camper. I chalked it up to my youngest daughter trying to be me, playing pranks on people. We play pranks on each other all the time, trying to scare each other. I wish I got her good the other night in that investigation. It was hilarious. So I chalked it up to her, and I'm thinking, wait, she's scared of the dark, So I get out of there, and I start walking back to my house, and then all of a sudden, down in the lower valley there, where I have most of my Bigfoot activity at, I heard a 800-pound owl, followed by an 800-pound dog bark, followed by an 800-pound bird call that reverberated through my chest. I mean, I was feeling it. And that's something that I try to tell people. When you're hearing these things mimic these animals, pay attention to what your body feels like, because your body literally will shake from it. What the hell was that? Was that an echo on the?
So Eric, would you consider that getting zapped?
He's having paranormal activity right now.
I could have swore I just heard something going just now, and I was trying to see if it's an animal or what the hell it was, but.
Turkey call. You call something in. You see that turkey call?
That turkey you shot last year is coming to haunt you. I'm just
for me. I don't call that being zapped. I don't consider being zapped because I call him my guest, my Bigfoot. I have a family group that comes through here. They used to come through mid to late fall to early to mid spring. Now that my mom's gone, my dad's gone, they're here all year round now. And there went again. Is that coming from you guys?
It might be my dog snoring.
Oh, here's
I'm gonna mute it. No, I'm not doing it. She's snoring.
Oh man,
It's
sorry, it's catching me. But I don't call that being zapped because they're very vocal. So when they used to come in only certain times of the year, they knew when I left for work. You know, they know your routine just as good, if not better, than you do. I mean, so when they're taking over an area and they're coexisting with you in an area, they're going to know what you do and what you don't do, how you are and how you are not. I firmly believe there's an old Native American proverb that says, when you're hunting, you don't think about hunting because your thoughts are like arrows and they soar through an open field and they pick up on it. I believe they pick up on your thoughts, your energies, your emotions. They pick up on this stuff. So they would sit out here like in the morning when I leave to go to work, and then I will hear them just on the other side of where my truck's parked, and they'll go, whoop, 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 whoop. You'll hear that. And I'd raise my hand, hey guys, all right, head to work. I'll see you later. And I'll go. That's how they told me they're there. So I think it's a form of communication. They were just letting me know, ha, dude, I was messing with you. You didn't know it. You know, they love to play pranks too. They are not very different than us. There's a reason why Native Americans say that they used to steal their women and mate with them. There's cases where they've stole men to mate with men. If we can breed and create babies with them, then genetically we're very similar, which is why I opposed that prospect of when they unalive, do they not become spirits as well? We're very similar. Native Americans call them Shiai Tonka, the older big brother, the first beings. They were here before we were. So we have to factor all this in. So to me, I don't think it's being zapped. It's they were communicating, basically making fun of me. Because they were picking on you. Yeah. They'll watch me in the windows. I mean, I've had them. I'll be sitting here at my computer and I'll be working on a book and all of a sudden you'll hear a right on the window.
Don't tell me you got lace curtains like I
No,
had.
I've got real tree camo fleece, blocks out the sun so it ain't bothering me when I'm live early in the morning.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Somebody you just put up that said they worked at Air Force Edwards. I only saw it for a second. You just had it up. Oh. Somebody said they worked at Edwards.
Well, there's Camp Lejeune. Okay. And let's see. I have to go around Edwards. Okay. This is Moondog Davis. All the time, Barry, and reptiles. I grew up around Edwards.
Oh, let's hear more
there's
about
a
that.
lot of weird stuff.
Yeah, let's hear more about that.
Man, reptilian, werewolf, Bigfoot, UFO stuff around military bases, man. I've 13 years, 4 deployments, 2 ex-wife laters. I hung my boots up in the military. And I can tell you all that stuff happens around military bases, without a doubt. I believe there is a project going on with them. I'm a firm believer that some of the stuff when I had top secret clearance tells me that they do. But that technically is above my pay grade. And sadly, if you get to diving into something and you're not supposed to, they find out that instant and they know.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I actually, some of the guys that go out Bigfooting with us on my teams, one of them, for example, was down, I think it was at Fort Stewart. I used to, oh, this is terrible. I shouldn't give this information out, but I used to, when I was in college, I dated an Army guy. Okay. And he was stationed at Fort Stewart. He used to call it Fort Stupid. Okay. But no disrespect, y'all. It was Fort Stewart down there. And one of my friends who Bigfoot's with us, I think it was Fort Stewart is what he said. He was out there on some kind of doing some training or whatever and came face to face with a Bigfoot. And that's how he got into Bigfooting at that point. And was because he came face to face with a Bigfoot on the property out there. And if you ever been down to, I mean, any kind of Army base or any kind of military base, I would assume they're out in the kind of the middle of nowhere. A lot of them, right? Fort Stewart's out in the middle of nowhere. You had to put deer whistlers on your car if you're going to be driving down there through
that thing don't.
Hinesville. I think it's Hinesville, right? And driving through there, Well, I mean, hell, anything helps because so many people hit deers at night. There's so many deers out there. It's so isolated in the middle of
Them
nowhere.
things call in more deer than I've ever. That's why I stopped having them on my vehicles. I hit more deer having them
Do
things
you?
on my vehicles.
Oh,
Yeah.
poor deer.
You
Oh,
mean,
Coons,
you mean? So you're telling me that the whistler things that like the sheriff, all the sheriff cars around here have that on them? They don't work? Really?
No, I hit more deer having them on my vehicles than I ever did not having them. That's why I took them off. I live out in the boonies.
Wow.
I mean, I live out
Oh,
in
wow.
BFE. Yeah. I mean, I got cougars that come in my yard. I got bears. I got coons. I got possums. I got armadillos. I mean, I got any type of food you want to eat. I've got a recipe for it, and it comes in my yard.
He eats squirrels. You eat squirrels, don't you?
Good.
Oh God.
Oh, squirrel dumplings.
And you got a connection with?
Yes.
I think I had a connection with Sasquatch. Maybe a squirrel
Exactly.
connection there. So you grubbing up on the squirrels.
Exactly. Well, wait a second, Barry. You and I have done a show talking about shape-shifting squirrels and Sasquatches, right? I hope you're not eating those Sasquatches that have shape-shifted into squirrels. I mean, it's getting. I know it's a little out there, but could be.
If I do, they're
Be
good.
careful. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
But no, I mean it's interesting, and I kind of wanted. I just had something pop in my head with this UFO case. I'm kind of multitasking here. I'm thinking about both things at one time because I'm trying to piece this together as you're telling the story. Which I'm still on the verge of thinking this is probably demonic. Okay, but curiosity is if it wasn't demonic. And it truly was aliens. Were they projecting themselves in this way to elicit the fear? Because there is evil aliens just as well as there are kind ones.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if they're not the same as the demons and they feed off the fear as well.
Ooh. What do you think, Barry? I agree. I think so too. I think that could be.
And and I know some people got upset with me, but I'd mentioned before you've got some type of Sasquatch. I believe we're doing that too. Maybe not all of them. But I think whatever it is that they've got a thing, whatever, they got to get that energy from somewhere. And what better than to show up on some young cats and scare the hell out of them? You know what I mean? And mess around and get that. What? Go ahead and say the word, Jessica. Get that out. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Loosh.
Yeah. I mean, who's the thought? People say, that's what told me the force people would never do that to us. Oh, you don't know that. That could be a juvenile do it. You know what I mean? Just like how someone will run up and run with cars. To me, that reminds me of the birds that kind of do that. When you're driving next to, what's this bird doing? But it's flowing with like it's racing you or something. It's very odd, bizarre.
Yeah.
But
I didn't mean to change it. Just popped in my head about that. It's like I'm wondering if that ain't maybe the case. I know, Kent. What can I say, man? I'm an instigator.
Something about that thing I mentioned earlier is that one of those things said that they were worried that the Sasquatch on Edwards Air Force Base were somehow connected to the UFOs they've been seeing.
Oh yeah. Well, UFOs and Bigfoots go hand in hand, okay, because I know from experience they do. And I don't know exactly what the connection is. We've got some ideas. But absolutely. Here's another thing too. What's up, Caleb Jade? Thank you for being here. Here's another thing is that, oh my gosh, what was I about to say? I just lost my train of thought when I saw Caleb in here. Sorry. Dang it, Caleb. I'm just kidding. Oh yeah. Okay. I remembered. Okay. Senior moment. I just got a memory wipe from one of those aliens. They just came in here and wiped my brain. Did y'all see that?
I call it brain farts.
Yeah. So where was one of the places where we do our research is down at the Troop Herd Corridor. I know I talk about that a lot, y'all. Down here in Georgia, it goes through middle Georgia. It's just north of like Fort Benning. Okay. And that is a place where there's been a ton. It got that name from an author, some guy named John something. I can't remember his last name, but he's an author who wrote a book about the mass alien abductions that were happening at the Troop Herd Corridor. Now, Troop and Herd are two counties. Troop County, Herd County, Pike County, Talbot County. I mean, there's a bunch of counties right there that run through the middle of Georgia and they go into Alabama, where I do some of my research too. I do research all through there, and it's all tons of Bigfoots out there. Dogman sightings, where the Georgia werewolf's down there. She's buried down that area. but there's so many. They say that the documented alien abductions that have happened there have military personnel involved during the abduction, y'all.
That don't
Okay.
surprise me. You know,
Okay.
I've told the story before on your show. Like when I was in boot camp in San Diego, over in Ego, me and we'll call him Michael. Me and Michael was doing fire watch one night, and Michael called me over to his side of the squad bay, and he goes, "Hey T, come look at this." I was like, "All right, man." I go over there. I was on the airport side. He was on the other side. So I go over there, and all of a sudden there was these two lights like this. And they were just kind of, doing the same maneuver. Then them lights became more lights, and they were kind of moving, and they started coming together. Then they started twirling together and then shot up. All this is around military bases. I've seen so much UFO activity around military bases around this world. I've traveled this world and have seen UFOs around military bases around this world. I believe military has a hand in. I'm sorry, it's too much of a coincidence for this to happen and they not get shot down. They can tell when a bird flies in close to their base, and they're telling me they can't pick up a UFO and go beep, boom. No, they know. I mean, I'm sorry. Common sense has to come into some aspect. If they can shoot a bird out of fly by pressing a button, and because they can trigger it with their radar, they can do it with a daggone UFO. If they can't see it with their radar, they can see it with their eye. There has to be some kind of connection there.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I was just thinking, something flashed in my mind. That video of it looks like human alien hybrids that were like a secret security detail when Obama was giving a speech somewhere. Do y'all remember that? There were like men that looked like reptilians or something in the Secret Service during that speech. That was wow. They had no ears and stuff. That's just something to think about. Yeah.
Did you watch their eyes? They closed sideways instead of like
ours. That's right. That's right. And so Kent just said, newsflash, a lot of abductions were done by the dark side of the military. And Jerry says, my labs and military abductions, definitely.
Military
and, of course, we have a lot of, the secret space program survivors that come on the show and stuff too. And they're living testaments of all this as well. But I was just trying to make that connection with the Troop Herd Corridor, and it got that name because of the mass alien abductions that have been documented down there. And it's just a hotbed of activity. And there's a lot of, that's where my son saw his first Bigfoot down there. I mean, we were down there. I saw it with him. We have a lot of Bigfoot activity out there. So I don't know exactly what the connection is, but I think there's a connection. What do you think, Barry?
Oh, sorry. What?
Yeah. Oh,
sorry,
no.
I was looking at interesting chat going on. Sorry, I was not paying attention.
There's a very interesting chat.
Yeah,
we have the best interesting chat over here, and I know I always get behind in the chat because I talk so much. But yeah, I mean, just with the UFO and Bigfoot connection, that's what I was asking you. Like, what do you think about that? And yeah, what?
I've heard so much, but when going to, we once had probably almost type 1 civilization here. We're involved in some type of galactic trade, and we have this, the monuments that still show that now. And Sasquatch would have been around then, and they would have been involved in all that. So, I think that's what we're going back to, what is the past and what's being hidden from us right now. And, like in Peru right now, there are a lot of reports of a type of like these ships that have these Sasquatch on them that look more like Ewoks. These smaller Sasquatch.
I just heard that today. Oh my God, Barry, I did not mean to interrupt you. I am so sorry. I was just talking to the head of the Alabama MUFON today, and he was talking about the same thing. And I said, it sounds like Ewoks. I said the exact same thing today. That is so wild that you just said that.
Yeah, smaller Sasquatch. They look like full Sasquatch, but they're just smaller, And by the same token, I've had a report, of somebody during a past life regression, and the guide that came for them that kind of is taking them through this life and the messages was a type of a Sasquatch. But this thing was huge, like something be like 11 feet tall. They had some type of a sash on, like Worf from Star Trek, man. It's but this is a being that's saying that they're like, for the human blueprint, it's supposed to be something called the Atom Kadmon, and it makes you wonder what is the blueprint for the Sasquatch? Where did that start? What's the top of that? You know what I mean? The original really makes you wonder. You know what I mean? We don't know any. Food for thought. That's all I can say. I don't have the answers. I got a bunch of questions.
Oh my God. I always leave with more questions than answers in everything I do. Okay. But yeah, why are these ones popping up all of a sudden? I started to say when he started telling me about that, I was going to say Puckwudgies, but they were bigger than that. They were the size of Ewoks. So they're here. Star Wars is like soft disclosure, right?
Then there's that other story I was told too about that was from Tom Powell saying that they went to that tribe that's in Oregon somewhere and they wanted to see the alpha. The male was supposed to be 10 plus, but when they get there, the tribe says we've only seen the daughter and the mother. We've not seen the male in a long time. And the guy that was supposed to be a Sasquatch quote whisperer that was hanging out with Tom started communicating with the female however he does his ritual, and the female said, "Oh, my husband's gone. The green ones took him to go do work. We don't like the green ones because they put us to work, but he'll be back when the work is done." And I look at Tom. I said, "Well, who are the green ones?" And he kind of goes like this. He said, "Well, he's a Pallades would say not publicly, but that they're the reptilians." I started thinking. I was like, "Wow." But kind of, if we talk about what really went on this planet before, we had some type of a Saurian here that was dominant, or something that would be able to control one of these massive male Sasquatch with the abilities they have, whether it be spiritual or even just on the physical level, whichever way you want to come from that. It would take something like that, a reptilian like that size, let alone with the aid of technology.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like how everybody's putting their names for these little squatches, mini squatch. I like that, Gene.
One of
the Wookiee pilot.
He came up with the Wookiees
Little Ewok squatch.
and the Ewoks was because he had a Bigfoot encounter. So that's why if you notice. Huh?
One more time, you say that again? Sorry, I cut
He's
out.
One of the leading theories of how he came up with the idea of Ewoks and Wookiees is he's had a Bigfoot encounter, which makes sense. If you look at Chewbacca, how he looks and how he sounds, the straight up Bigfoot stuff. Yeah, I love Wookiees, but I'm a Star Wars nerd. I grew up on that, and I remember standing in line for the newest Star Wars movie to come out when I was knee high to a grasshopper's ass, and it'd be about 9 blocks long. Yeah.
I'll tell you, what I liked about Chewbacca? It's a much better portrayal than that show I used to watch when I was a kid, Bigfoot Wild Boy. That was a terrible Bigfoot there. He do a scream and he goes flying through the valley. But you know what's interesting about that show? They showed the Bigfoot having paranormal abilities, such as speed. He's running faster than the car. Just saying, well, that thing is running. We're going at 70 miles per hour. But it kind of sounds like a ripoff of the Bionic Man. But they were trying to kind of get there. Terrible show, though.
If you study Native American lore, they'll tell you that there is holy men amongst the Sasquatch. So they have their own holy men, their own medicine men that can open portals. They can do all this other stuff. They have the gifts the same as the natives. The Native Americans will tell you that we learn from them and they learn from us. There's a reason why they were called the elder big brother. They have that ability too. And I'd done a video on my YouTube of some stuff that Corey Cole sent me. And if you look at this Bigfoot looking creature that was, not very visible, you can almost see like a human skeleton necklace on it that could be an amulet. And if you study ancient portals, the Anunnaki and even in the Egyptians, you had to have a certain key with the right frequency to go through that portal. Otherwise, you'd be unalived. So could that be what that necklace was a type of key with the right frequency in order for it to go in a portal or not? Yeah, I don't think I will not. I do not have enough proof for me to subscribe to every single Bigfoot go through a portal. I'm sorry. I've seen enough video evidence. It's called adaptive camouflage. They stop moving and they seem like they disappear. They blend in to their environment. But the holy men can have that ability to do that. But it's all about frequency, the right.
See, I've heard that too, and I've introduced that. There's things that we have dreamers, and like people that follow Carlos Castaneda, they know like the whole gates of dreaming and the dreaming, and how actually that whole practice was actually putting full cognitive ability into the dream body, and in that way, just making the dream bodies almost corporeal as this one to a degree. But it doesn't conform to the same physical parameters as this body. And that's what his teachers were doing, these old Toltecs. And I think it's a mistake to think we don't have types of Sasquatch that are capable of that. There's that guy, Man of Light, that has that website. And he shows the Bigfoot coming out of portals and trees. And he's got this whole thing. As he says he's communicating with him. So I asked him, how do they do that with the trees and how they disappear and stuff? And he said, we have spiritual powers. That's what he kept saying, the spiritual powers. But in reality, I think that thing about them being dreamers isn't too far off. Because I've asked before, what is it with some of these accounts of these Sasquatch people walking up on them sleeping, or they're falling asleep in people's barns? And during the time that they seem to have some of this impervious ability to bullets and the invisibility and all these things manifesting, that's things that the dream body can do. So I think we might be dealing with masters of perception, especially when dealing with like the medicine men of these different clans. I agree.
Dreamwalkers. There is not only just human type beings that can dreamwalk, but the Norse version of the zombie called the Draugr. The Draugr will enter your dreams and wreak havoc on you. Then you have what we know as nightmares, actually comes from Norse mythology. And they're literally black horses that trample on your chest and give you bad dreams. This is all dream walking type stuff. Most commonly known amongst supernatural, which I am a firm believer, and it stays in with your topic actually today, Jessica, and that's aliens can do dream walking as well. I believe they can enter your dreams to give you a perception or something, or give you a message. Anytime an animal comes to visit me, this is something I always say, and this is taught through Native American lore. Thank you, my relative, for coming to see me. If you have a message for me, please deliver it to me in a dream, in a language that I understand, because we've lost the ability to talk with our animals, brothers and sisters, and our plant animals, brothers and sisters. So when that happens, you say, if you have a message for me, please deliver it to me in a dream, in a language that I understand. It's all about dreams.
Oh my God. I have weird dreams. You know what? I just told my son today when we were driving, maybe it was yesterday. I told him it was today. We've been driving a lot lately, the past couple of days. And I told him, I said, I finally I remember my dreams again. I went through a long period where I quit remembering my dreams for some reason. And I just remember bits and pieces. Yeah, but now I'm remembering them again. And you mentioned something about a horse in your dreams. My grandmother passed away this past week, and my uncle and I were talking last week while she was still alive, and we were kind of joking around because we were kind of taking turns spending time with her and sitting with her and stuff. And she was in hospice care, and he told me that, she was coming in and out of consciousness, kind of like she'd have clarity 1 minute, like at night occasionally. And she and I would have full conversations, but then the next day she couldn't really talk, and, that kind of a deal. And he said that the night before that she had woken up and she was like, she woke up like trying to catch her breath. And she said, "Oh my God, I'm glad that was a dream. That horse was falling on top of me." So she said that she had a dream. Yeah, like a horse had fallen from the sky and was trying to land on her, and she woke up right at the moment of impact. And that was one of the last things that she and him had a conversation about before she passed away. Yep. It was really odd that you brought that up today. Yeah.
Well, and if
I
you
don't.
actually study, like a lot of your vampires, a lot of your demons, a lot of your zombies, a lot of your other stuff throughout other cultures around the world, they will tell you they can inhabit your dreams. Dreams is a
Yeah.
special thing that we do. It literally is a type of magic that we
Mhm.
project upon ourselves when we're asleep. I've done videos on my YouTube channel about my realistic dreams that I've had from when I was around 15 or 16 to my mid to late 20s, where I've literally woken up with red marks on my back where I've gotten shot, or where I've been scratches where I've been cut, or bruising on my chest where I got hit in the chest by a freaking tank ground. I mean, waking up and this is on me, you know. This dreams are a very sacred, very magical thing in our lives. And you must be very, very careful with dreams. Dreams are messages. Dreams are a type of portal. Believe it or not, they take you to another dimension, another time, another place. Um, Dreams are very sacred. So be very careful with them and think about them, because a lot of times your dreams are actually giving you a message.
Well, and sometimes we can have experiences with ETs in our dream state, which is very real as well. And I had a really interesting conversation with Tony Merkel over on the Confessionals podcast, and he and I were talking about some of my experiences with the ETs, and he had a great point. He said, I kept questioning like why my dogs would not wake up when I was having these ETs in my bedroom. Why did my kid not wake up? My son was like sleeping beside me. He was a little baby at the time. He was just a little tiny kid. And I had him in the bed beside me. Nobody woke up. And I just kept trying to wake. I was like, why is nobody waking up when I was having these experiences? Like these ETs are right here standing over them. They should be awake. And Tony said, well, what if you were in their realm? They weren't in the 3D realm where you live. You were in their realm. When you woke up, you were there, and your body was still there in that 3D, but your mind and your astral body was there with them. And that made all the sense.
You were dream walking.
Right. Yeah.
You just posted something from Kent Baxter there. I would ask a question. Within a month before you started having these recurring dreams, did you see a UFO?
Ooh, interesting
Even
question.
If it's just for a minute or so, a few seconds. Did you see a UFO within a month before you started having those recurring dreams? Because that sounds like contact to me. And the thing is that we have, we see something like that isn't a drone or something. And you mentioned frequencies earlier. And the frequency that they're on is so much faster than ours that all sorts of things happens to the subconscious and superconscious, total contact that the conscious mind misses. But then it manifests, there's like a time lag, and it starts manifesting in the dreamscape, the contact that you had. Whether it's still ongoing at that time or a remnant, it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? But that's what I would ask, is if he saw the UFO, within a month before having that recurring dreams.
He says, yes, I have several pictures in my phone.
Well, I think that's what I think what the hallways of the craft look like. And now it's something that he can get a regression for and just focus in and find out even more what you're experiencing in the dream, what was recorded by the superconscious mind, by the subconscious. You can access that, when you get close in the theta states. So it's worth thinking about, Kent. You've had some sort of contact. You just described it. And it's so much more subtle than most people think, but we have to expand our modalities for contact and parameters.
I want to see those pictures.
The conscious event.
I've often wondered, because a lot of times my realistic dreams, I'm fighting aliens on another planet, or I'm fighting demons on another planet. I've even been in another dimension where a certain little popular war was won by the other side, and I was the resistance against them trying to win back America. These are realistic dreams. I can smell, taste, feel, hear. Everything is just like it is right now, but it's in my dream state. So I've often wondered why. Oh, go. Sorry, Jessica.
Oh no, go ahead. No, finish what you were saying. I didn't know you were still talking.
I was often wondering why am I dreaming about being a elite military unit, Marine Corps unit, fighting aliens or fighting these demons on other planets or fighting these people from another dimension. I don't know the answer to it, but most of my realistic dreams are that way, or it has been an apocalyptic time, and I'm leading a group of survivors to restart humanity. That's been another type of realistic dreams I've had.
That sounds like real life. I mean, my dreams are either my past lives or it's coming in the future. And let me tell you, if these things are coming in the future that I've dreamed, I'm ready for it, but it's a little scary. Okay, like robotic AI takeovers and having to protect the remaining humans on this planet and stuff like that. Like those are my dreams. And but I also have the one recurring dream that I've had since I was a kid, and it's me being chased by dinosaurs. But how wild is that we actually do have modern day dinosaur sightings right now too? So it's not too far fetched.
Wilder than that. Everything you learned in history about what we call dinosaurs nowadays, they were called dragons back then. Dinosaur was coined in 1864. They were known as dragons prior to being known as dinosaurs. There is enough fossilized evidence, plus if you study Mesoamerican artwork, humans and dinosaurs work side by side. There's fossilized footprints of that. There's architecture of that.
Yeah, I've actually seen a dragon. There's a dragon in Alabama, y'all. We've talked about it on the channel several times. There's dragons. What is that? There be dragons or something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
You had something up though. Sorry, prior to that, I was trying to see. I'm trying to scroll up here and see. I'm a super soldier. I've heard that term before, Cyrus. I'm not real familiar with that.
Yeah, I've been talking about that. I bring super soldiers on the show pretty often. We've got Arkeem Raw was on here on Thursday, and he's a super soldier, and James Rink and Daryl James, and there's a lot of them have been on my shows. Secret Space Program. Yeah, man.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just had a huge ass orb fly in front of my face. That's when I was like, holy crap, that was a big one and a bright one.
It was the ghost of that turkey that you were calling. It was the turkey ghost. Oh my God.
I have faith.
If you actually looked in the orbs, you've got the kinds of orbs that appear to be like quantum holograms. You see like some sort of being inside of it, but you have these others have these beautiful crystalline formations and geometric structures, and they look a lot like some mandalas. Ever notice that?
Or drone-like little what am I? Oh my gosh, I am brain farting and forgot what I was just going to say. Recon drone.
A recon,
kind of like
recon drone.
Yeah, recon drone. You know what recon is? Forward scouts.
You know what recon means? Yeah.
Sorry, I'm an old Marine grunt. Recon.
Okay.
I've actually had an orb when I was 14, 15, maybe 16 years old, somewhere around in there. We were playing hide and go seek in the dark. That was our favorite thing to do out here. I mean, we didn't have luxuries. I mean, we had an outhouse for a long time. In the wintertime, we bathed in a wash pan in the kitchen floor of the travel trailer we lived in. I mean, we just didn't have them luxuries when we moved out here. So our favorite thing to do was play hide and go seek in the dark. And you not flashlight tag, no flashlights. And we'd run around these woods at night. And I remember running through our yard one time, running away from my brother, and had a huge bright light come out of my woods from the north, come right at my chest, and I stopped and slid backwards and fell on my ass and slid on the ground as this thing came up above me and then shot straight up. And I'm 100% sure that was Faye. Just because of the feeling you get from it. Faye have a very unique feeling to them. They're very old magic, and you can always sense that type of magic amongst the Faye. And this one felt very Faye-like. It was very old, ancient magic.
Oh my gosh. That's wild. You have such an abundance of activity on your property. I mean, it's got to be so cool living there. I don't know how I feel about Bigfoots looking at my windows at night, but I mean, I guess you get used to it after a while. Yeah.
You do. He
Yeah.
used it.
They're just making sure y'all are cool in there, I guess.
Yeah.
Do you what kind of feeling do you get from it whenever if something taps on your window? Are you don't get creeped out?
No, it's the best way I can describe it. Is they're basically like, "Hey, I see you," type deal. We are their entertainment. I'm a firm believer we are Sasquatch's entertainment because I'd be sitting there and like in my old trailer, and I've actually got footprints leading up to this window. In fact, when I was on that documentary with Linda Eastburn, Byways of Bigfoots, I was laughing my butt off because we confirmed the Bigfoot's walking up to that window. I was telling people I used to sit in my what I call my fat guy chair, my lazy boy, my fat guy chair watching TV. On underneath my TV was the window that led to the woods, and I'd swear to God something was standing outside that window staring at me. And that window, you'd have to be 7 or 8 foot tall to look in that window. And I've swore I've had that happen, and then we've literally find footprints going up to that window. And then it's never, the only time I've ever had a negative feeling on this property, which that entity is back, whatever it is, was last year. And it was after I did a show about the Big W. And, but that it's back. I've had that strange dog mimic bark again. I've literally been hearing stuff running up on my roof, walking on my roof. Whatever that was is back, but it only comes in the wintertime. That is the only time I've actually where it's mimicked my voices, my kids' voices. It's tried to lure my kids or her friends away, try to lure me away from something. It felt very much. So you remember when I did that initial investigation of that Bigfoot or that werewolf / dog man that I've been currently kind of working on? I was telling you, I felt that very ancient magic trying to draw me away from where I was. And I knew if I would follow this, I would no longer be here talking to you. It's that type of feeling, what this is. It's something old, something ancient, something evil. Ooh. And that is the only time I've ever had fear of anything that's been on my property. I've had freaking skeletons on horses ride through my bedroom, look at me and scream and ride off again. I've had a lot of weird crap happen out here. Paranormal, supernatural, cryptid. That is the only time I've ever had fear.
Oh my gosh. Down at my farm, my family's farm, where I grew up as a kid. And there was something very off and very ancient. And it wasn't a good feeling about the house. Like we had my grandparents' house out there. And it was where we'd have all of our family get-togethers and everything. And there was just something very ancient. And to me, it was very dark. I didn't like it. I would never sleep in that house by myself. And the one time that I actually tried to sleep in the house. I had my dog Zoe. Back in the day, I had my girl Zoe. And we went there. I was going to be having a meeting there with some of my commissioners and stuff. I'd offered to have a meeting down there at the house, and I lived in Atlanta, so I drove out there, tried to spend the night, and I was going to sleep on the couch. I was scared to sleep in the bedroom because that's where all the really scary activity was going on. I was convinced there was a portal in the bathroom. I was convinced of it. And we would go in the house sometimes, and the doors of all the cabinets would be open, and then they'd close, and the drawers would be open. So it's like something was opening them. And I went to go to the car to get my sleeping bag and all my blankets and pillows. I was going to sleep in there and watch some TV and fall asleep watching TV. And as I started to bring my stuff inside, the toilet lid slammed on the toilet in that bathroom. And my dog alerted and ran to the door, but wouldn't go past the threshold. And she just stood there and she wouldn't go in that room. And I thought there might be somebody in there, and it was horrible. I ended up leaving and going back to Atlanta that night because there's just something ancient in that house. And I know exactly what you're talking about. It didn't feel good.
Yeah. I don't think I can share on here. I've got videos of poltergeist haunts and jinn haunts and how they're very similar. When I did the show on poltergeist, I was trying to get people to see the similarity between jinn haunts and poltergeist haunts because the haunts are very, very similar. And I still have them videos. We have to consider this. People want to tell you something supernatural is only in this area, and that's why it's called. No, supernatural. They had run of this earth prior to any of us. They can go wherever they want to go. They're supernatural. They're not tied to one location. And that's why I've always questioned, is what we call poltergeist actually a type of jinn haunt? And that's why I showed them videos comparing that, how they're extremely similar between the two.
Oh my gosh.
That's something I'm always posing things.
Yeah. Barry, you're into the paranormal, the supernatural.
Barry's deep in thought of it.
Yeah. Well, there's so many great comments in the chat tonight too. I'm watching it. I was trying to keep up. I try to pull as many of these comments up as I can, y'all. And these are great. Even Sovereign Cosmic Wildman put this really cool comment up. It says, watch out for those ET cryptid-induced mind wipes shortly after a significant sighting. Power through it and follow through. Yeah, that's why I encourage everybody to write it down. If something happens to you, no matter when it is or what it is, as soon as you can, write it down. Even if you've got your cell phone with you, type it in your cell phone. Go to your notes, type it in. Everything that you can remember that just happened, type it, document it somewhere. Get a piece of paper, sketch out what you saw, and do that, because you're going to forget. Barry talks about it. You talk about it pretty often. After it happens, it's hard to remember it.
Yeah. And it's not always quote unquote a mind wipe. Sometimes it's a different frequency vibration that makes the retention of the memory difficult itself. You know what I mean? Because when it first happened to me, I thought, oh, they must have wiped my mind. Because the first time I'm missing like 4.5 hours of time with somebody else and trying to figure out what just happened. Because, at first it's very apparent what happened. Was on board this thing, something just happened, remembered every piece of it. But before I can get to town to get to a recorder and say all the stuff or try to write it down, we're both looking at each other going, what happened again? It starts fading the further you get away from the event horizon, which pretty much sucks, but it's not always intentional. You know what I mean? It's in a mind wipe, but that happens too. So take your pick, I guess. Sucks either way, It makes it more difficult than need be.
Yeah.
So trying to get on with your normal life, you can't think about nothing else. You just have contact and you're tripped out on it, You become very mild.
Well, it was kind of like that where I heard that woman's voice say time travel that night, and it was so foreign to me to hear my own voice that I didn't even realize that was my own voice for weeks. And then one day it dawned on me. I was like, that was my voice. And I couldn't stop thinking about it. I had not been able to stop thinking about it for weeks, at least 2 or 3 weeks. And then it just dawned on me one day. I was like, God dang it, that was my voice.
Well, Nikola Tesla, before he unalived, had notes for an actual time machine. Now, if you want to find something to blow your mind, and it's a good read, it's called The Last President. It was written in the late 1800s. But it's about a family called the Trumps. And everything they talk about in this book is stuff that you see today. And this was written in the late 1800s. And who got a hold of Nikola Tesla's notes? Trump's uncle.
Yeah, that's right. Time travelers. I've heard that too. That's wild. I don't put anything past anybody or anything anymore. Anything's possible. For sure. We live in such a wild reality.
What is that famous scientist guy? I mean, I can't remember his name. He's in the wheelchair.
Hawking?
I'm not a fan.
Stephen
Hawkins.
Hawking.
Hawkins, yeah. I'm not a fan of his. And I watched the show. He goes, well, if there's time travel, I'm throwing a party at this day. Just because you are who you think you are and you think you're some hot dog that's been proven wrong multiple times, doesn't mean somebody's going to come back in time because you said come and have a party with me. That does not prove nothing. There is too much evidence throughout our history of time travel. Way too much evidence in our history of time travel. Just because you're Hawkins doesn't mean crap. I mean, hell, never mind. I can't say it on YouTube. I might get you in trouble what I think on that. But yeah, I'm just not a fan of it.
Oh my gosh. Man, well, this has been wild, y'all. What a great conversation. Like, I knew it was going to go in all different directions tonight, and I wanted to talk about the summoning the UFOs, and I did want to let everybody know that family did find help. The one that I was talking about, they did eventually find help, and I think that I don't know exactly what's happened since then, but I do know that they were put in contact with some people that I don't know if they did a clearing or a cleansing or what, but there was some energy work involved in it to cleanse and clear. Maybe they got an exorcist, y'all. I don't know. I don't know what happened as far as that goes. But wow, what an interesting way to look at it, though, is that, like Barry, you said, it was probably demonic, and they needed a cleansing. And but does that explain the pictures of the ETs that we have? That I have? I can't show them to the public. I was asked not to. They do look like this, though. I'm going to show y'all this. This is what they look like, and this is actually, I think this is from, gosh, I don't know. This is. I don't know whose pictures these are. Okay, but I found this online, and it looks similar to this. Okay, it actually looks very similar to that. Okay.
Oh no, not that one.
But that looks like a doll. Okay, the ones that we have are not dolls.
I think that's Stan Romanek when he puts up the video, that puts up the camera, and then he runs over to the thing. Yeah. He goes like that, and he goes and runs back, and then that thing comes up and goes like that in the window. I think that's what that was.
I've seen that.
Man.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Oh, it's terrible. It's
terrible. I was just doing
terrible.
it for a point of reference, okay? I'm only using it for reference. It looks similar to that. I don't know where this is from, y'all. But I found this online. It was the closest thing I could find because I can't actually show the pictures, okay? But in the pictures that I have, there's two to three ETs in the pictures that I have that were sent to me, and I was specifically asked to not share them with anybody. But it looked like that. Okay, it did, even though that looks like a doll. Okay, if you ask me.
Hey,
it looked kind of like that.
I'm trying to stop laughing, but once you see that, though, you'll never forget what I'm saying. He goes like that. He goes anyway, but when dealing with when tricksters pretend to be aliens and things like that, it's similar to what these quote unquote cryptoterrestrials. The cryptoterrestrial hypothesis, what they're doing is they're actually using a technology that projects things like plasma and different things and gets us looking outer space, when the truth is they live here on this planet with us and they're sharing it with us and they're keeping us a decoy. You know what I mean? So it's similar to what some of these, and we call them demonics or negative inorganic beings or whatever, but they're negative forces of some type, and it's which is too bad. And, and I think when it comes to that, it's almost the same as the clown screen memory. Yeah, no, you look into that a lot now. And it's more than just you had that movie It, or when I was younger, there was John Wayne Gacy. He was the killer clown. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, this is different. This goes into screen memories with clowns. My own brother hates clowns. And we were at a wrestling event, Jessica, and these guys came up with the Insane Clown Posse was going on.
Oh, that's a famous rapper group. That's a famous rap group.
These dudes are jumping around like that. This clown jumps in front of us.
Juggalos, I think, right?
And he's got his balloons, and my brother's going, "Hey, man, get away from me." And he kept getting closer, come a little closer, and he's doing his balloons and stuff. And my brother just picked this kid up.
Get away from me.
He wasn't a kid. He was an adult, but I mean, he was small. My brother's 6'7". He picked him up and just slammed this guy. And I said, "Damn, bro." And he looked at me. He said, "Bro, I told him, get away from me. I don't like clowns." I go, "Oh no, okay, I got you.
Mad too. He DDT'd him, just like the big boss man.
The guy's on the grave. He's going, "Hey, man, it's God, man."
He pulled a Stone Cold Steve Austin on him. I know he did.
Stone Cold Stunner.
Oh my gosh,
boss man.
Okay, I'm glad that I know about the clowns and the scream memories and stuff now, and not even to mention the witches that roam the woods with the clown shoes on too. What the heck? What's up with that?
Even the one that you talked about, the Spearfinger witch,
Spearfinger.
She's reported to be wearing shoes like that. And does that have something to do that they're like ostrich bird type feet? That's what I've heard. Because the way these shoes look and the way I've seen design, they look like something you could put like bird feet in. The 3-toed thing.
Ooh, I saw a 3-toed print at the Bigfoot Museum today. I think it was the Legend of Brushy Creek, like the Falk Monster. Is that how you pronounce it? There was a 3-toed print there.
Mm-hmm. That
Wow.
could be. I have a theory that the Boggy Creek monster that you're talking about is possibly a gugwe. Now, with having
was
3 toes,
thin.
could mean like a snapping turtle took one off, or it had an accident, and that's why it's got 3
No,
toes.
well, let me
Could have
tell you,
been.
it
Could
was
have been.
long. Like it
Mhm.
was very thin. Like the toes matched the foot, if you know what I mean. Like it wasn't missing a toe. It was very long and slender, and it had 3 perfect toes at the end of it. And I have a picture of it on my phone. I think I took a picture. I asked the ladies there. I was like, "Is it okay if I take pictures?" And the lady said yes. Okay, so I took some pictures. I got them. I'm not going to show them all to the world because I want y'all to go to this museum, but I'll show you some. Okay,
Yeah, I've seen
and
them
that
pictures.
3 toe print, that's a good one. Yeah.
You know, and also,
Yeah, and
you know, sorry.
Also, you got to think there's possibility of inbreeding, which can cause a formation of the foot, and that's why you got a 3-toed. You got to think about it. There's not that many of these like there used to be in the old times, so the possibility of that actually happening is a very good possibility that we cannot deny when we're doing this research. It's very plausible.
Could be. Ooh.
You know,
yeah. Well, we're not doing a show on that anytime soon, but yes, could be. I'm just kidding.
3 toes again. That has almost a bird type of feature to it. Also,
It does.
and that makes me think of something else. When coming up with some of the data, you came up with the Chupacabra. The first things you had on there was this dinosaur DNA.
Dinosaur DNA. I literally wrote dinosaur DNA.
And you know, dinosaurs and birds are much more connected than we ever thought before. That's being proven.
Chickens look like velociraptors, right?
Actually, chicken's DNA is more closely to a Tyrannosaurus Rex than anything else.
It's little T-Rexes. Well, you know, there's little miniature T-Rexes spotted in Texas, modern day.
Yeah. There's velociraptors too, I believe.
There's so many connections here.
Park, the little things got the guy who rolled down to the ravine, and he knocked a couple of them away at first, and then they all started just rushing him. I tore him up, man.
Like a damn ant here.
Man. Oh my gosh. Caleb J, thank you for that super sticker. That's so sweet. Thank you.
Here's it fun, okay? I'm not going to pull it out of the box, but this machine I have here, this hyperdimensional resonator that I got from that guy, Stephen Gibbs. He tells me, he says, "Oh, I made the time jumps, and I'll tell you, he says, the most dangerous thing I did, I jumped back to the Cretaceous period." And he said, "Man, don't do it." He said, those Tyrannosaurus Rex and those Allosaurus, they look like birds. They were like birds. They're not telling people that. They were trying to eat me. He's going off about it. I was like, this cat. At least he had that right, though. They did say years later, you know, there's much more connection between dinosaur and avians than we thought.
There is actually a lot of archaeological evidence has come out as of late that a lot of them really did have feathers. A lot of them.
Oh my God. Kent says it's rumored that Chupacabra is from an extinct dinosaur DNA. Well, that's exactly what my data said, right, Barry? That was a blind target.
That's the first time I've ever heard that. I've reversed Chupacabra extensively. I never heard that until you said that. So I'm interested to see where he got that information.
Yeah.
Give us a link or something.
Kent, that's awesome. Yeah, let us know where you heard that.
Yeah, I've never heard that before. Now, kangaroo, yes. Marsupial, yes, heard that, but never the DNA dinosaur. That came from you first.
I wrote that in the data. I wrote marsupial. I wrote mammal, but reptile or dinosaur DNA, but mammal too. Like it was weird, right? And I kept telling you, I was like, Barry, there's no way. This data is all over the place. This is too weird. It's a mammal, but it's also a reptile. Yeah, and that's exactly what it's supposed to be, right?
You had got similar to being marsupial, like John Vavinko had said, and his team had showed that once the baby emerges from the pouch, the mother chases it down and eats it. Okay, but when you start looking at some of the newer things that some of these newer whistleblowers are saying about some types of gray reproduction, is that they're doing it in a marsupial fashion, that they actually produce a clone down there, like it's a cyborg of some type or similar to that clone. It comes from marsupial, though. I've heard that a couple of times now, which is interesting, and it makes you wonder: is that something that they've taken from that species that this Chupacabra is? part of their genetic makeup or whatever. Just who knows, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's
Lots of
interesting.
weird things roaming around.
Before the gray dies, it grows another clone of itself, like in a marsupial fashion. Then, you know, whatever consciousness it is or technology transfers into that clone, and then it goes on. It separates. Just interesting. You know, I can't say that's true, but it sure does make you, you know, broaden the horizons.
Robin.
It
That
does.
is so weird you brought that up. Sorry, I was reading Robin's comment there, and I was making a Yeti picture for a show I got dropping Tuesday. It is so weird she said that. I don't know if I can share this.
You said Yeti. I was actually so I was teeter-tottering between doing this show tonight or doing a show on the Yeti. Okay, so that's funny.
I'm actually doing that tomorrow. I'm like, do I want to do two in
awesome.
or do I want to do a Yeti? And I put it up on a poll, and it was 50-50. I'm like, oh, I guess I could do both. But so I was creating artwork for a video I've got dropping Tuesday, right? And she's talking about this hybrid Bigfoot. Let me see if I can share screen. I don't know if I can or not.
Yeah, go down to present if you can. And
yeah, that's where I'm at now.
Okay.
Okay, good. I didn't know because
I'm
not
an
an administrator.
There it is. Okay, I'll pull it up.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's add to stage. There you go. Oh, look at that. That's a great picture.
Is that kind of what you was talking about? You said it had like a pug nose face on the hybrids, and this is literally what I created the other day for, like I said, a video I've got dropping Tuesday.
That's an interesting nose for sure.
Yeah.
I kind of want to just go pinch it. Be so cute.
In a cold climate, that would actually make a lot of sense because you're trying to hold heat in, and bigger nose, bigger nostrils will allow more cold air in, which therefore would not allow your body to warm up. So I thought it was funny because it's like technically that's pretty accurate.
Wow.
But
did you use like an AI thing to make that? That is amazing.
Midjourney. Yeah, I use Midjourney to create 99% of the artwork I have on my shows, I create myself. So I love that. Weird one I was doing because I had Chupacabra in there as well. So a weird one I was doing for a Chupacabra is this thing is so wicked, but I had to leave it because it was this cool. There it is. Chupacabra.
I don't think we can see it. Oh, there it is. Oh, yeah, that's cool. You know, my AI, the things that I use for AI, they never give me a good Sasquatch. They always end up looking like a big gorilla.
Oh, no, yeah.
Yeah, I have a hard time with that. So I have to like type in. I have to type in like a Neanderthal human with a bunch of hair on him to get it to work. I can never get it to work right. So if anybody has any good tips on how to get a good AI Sasquatch, holler at me. Okay, y'all holler at me. Help me out. Help a sister out because I don't know how to do it.
I've got some that I created that I can send you. Actually, the opener. There's one of them. The opener to my my show has the ones I created. This is one. This was what I
was like Willie B from the Atlanta Zoo. Yeah.
When I was trying to create an ape man, it actually came up with that. But the one that I'm talking about, where's it at?
That really did look like the gorilla from the Atlanta Zoo. We used to call him Willie B. And all of my AI Sasquatches end up looking just like that. Just about. So yeah, that's wild. Yeah, I got that inspiration to do maybe a show about Yetis from that from the Bigfoot Museum today. But I'm gonna hold off on that, especially if you're doing a show on Yetis. I'm gonna space it out. We'll do one later. That's a good one right there, though. That's a great image.
I've got one with 3 different colors like that.
Wow, very human-like.
I was trying to go with the 3 different styles.
Yeah.
This is more of the human style right here.
Oh, I like that. That looks pretty good too. Wow.
And then this is the one that's in my actual opener video, and I actually animated this one. Is that one there?
Oh my gosh, those are good. Those are really good ones.
Yeah, it's.
Wow.
I'll tell you now, I spend a lot of time. I don't know how to shrink that on yours. I spend a lot of time on.
Do you want me to take it off?
There we go. There we go. I got it.
Okay. There you go. All right.
I spend a lot of time trying to create a Bigfoot on AI is extremely hard. But I use Mid-Journey.
Okay, that's good to know. Oh my gosh. Yes, that's Brandy. What's up, girl? Stargazer says, baby kudzu is Willie B's baby. Yes. Listen, you know you're from Atlanta. You know you're from Georgia if you know about Willie B. I'm just saying. At the Atlanta Zoo, that was the thing back when we were growing up, when I was growing up. And we go see Willie B. He was a gigantic silverback. We even have a soccer team. We had a soccer team for a while. I don't know if they're still there, called the Atlanta Silverbacks. And I think it was kind of based off Willie B. Okay. He's long gone. He's long gone today. But yeah, that was my favorite thing he was my favorite thing to go see at the zoo when I was a kid. Probably because he would look like a Bigfoot, and I just didn't know I was going to be into Bigfoot one day. Who knows? But man, y'all, this has been a fantastic show. It is well past midnight. I've had the longest day ever, and I'm having too much fun. But I know we got a lot of people. Everybody's probably tired on the East Coast over here. And so I just wanted to thank you guys so much for being here tonight and for hanging out with me and talking about summoning UFOs and when it goes terribly wrong, as it has in cases that I have been asked to consult with in the past and stuff. So, man,
good example too. Real good example.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think the kids are good. I mean, I don't know. An exorcism at this point would probably be on the agenda. Okay, if people are having cleansings.
Cleansing. Get some sage, sweetgrass, and cedar. Cleanse your home. Have a holy man come in, bless your home. If you're Christian, use a preacher, Native American, holy man, whatever your religion is, have a holy man come in, bless your home. So once you cleanse it, once you bless it, then, like I said earlier, sea salt. The key is sea salt, not iodized salt, sea salt. Use sea salt and wrought iron and put that in 4 corners of your property and your home. I don't know what you mean, Tim. I just only my 3rd show today.
Oh my God. I spoke at a conference all day. I've been out of town and I got in touch with Eric and Barry pretty much on my way home today and put this show together. And I was not going to leave y'all hanging tonight. We were going to have a show tonight for sure. And this has been far beyond my expectations. This is such a great show, and with good information, because we need to know these things. Okay. And we need to know how to protect ourselves. We need to know what to avoid. Okay, I do not recommend calling in UFOs, but that's just my opinion.
No.
Okay.
No. Yeah.
Not unless you want to be told that you need to start learning about alien abductions, because that's kind of what happened to me when I went Bigfooting. And we had that happen. I was told I needed to start studying Bigfooting. So if I can help you guys help yourselves, I'm here for it. Okay. And unless you're down to get abducted by aliens and stuff, I mean, go for it, y'all. Go for it. But once you get marked, right, Barry, you get marked by it, and you're going to be probably have these experiences for the rest of your life potentially. So just be careful. Be careful, right, Barry?
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes we think that we're chasing the stuff, but it's chasing us. You know, more often than not. And
it's like I've said many. It's like I've said many a times, there's a reason why I keep a camera on my back, because you'll be surprised what you'll catch that's tracking you from behind that you will never find in front of you. That's supernatural as well. And
yeah. Oh yeah, that's the the predators and everything else. That's the main strategy. Yeah, from behind. Yeah, it's a trip. Stalking.
Avita's asking a question. She says, I'm looking for iron. Where do you guys get your iron pieces for protection and cord cutting?
Most of your metalworking places will have it. Some hardware stores used to carry that stuff. Some may still do. I would try them. But if you got a metalworking place close by, that'd be a good bet too.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Oh my gosh, Lynette, you're still up, girl. Lynette was at the conference with me today. Lynette and Marty. I can't believe y'all are still up. It is 12:21 in our time zone. Y'all are troopers. I love y'all. Thank y'all so much for being there. I know they came and saw me at the conference today up in Blue Ridge. And so thank y'all. We got some troopers up in here tonight. So yeah, what a great day. It's been a great day. And I am so tired, y'all. So I will not be summoning UFOs tonight. I don't summon anything. I never do. And not even cryptids. I mean, I go out there and put myself in weird predicaments, and I do go chasing them. But I'm not out there
involuntary time travel, maybe.
I don't know.
Time travel.
Yeah. Time travel when I'm sleeping. Yeah. There's no telling what I'm doing. I'm working overtime when I'm sleeping. In the astral.
I've been going through video footage all day when in between shows, man. If we had more time, I'd pop up some orbs I caught. And I got drowned with orbs on this paranormal investigation. I spent 3 hours on a 30-minute video tracking orbs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, y'all. Okay. So if y'all been watching my show for a while, everybody in here, you know, like, especially when I do like my members only shows and stuff like that, I will have like orbs floating around my face. Like I did a show, Barry, I think it was with you one night. We're doing a show on I can't remember what it was. And an orb floated in front of my face and stuff. It was the
crop circles, actually.
It was the crop circles. Ooh, that's when I had a message for humanity that night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One of the most emotional targets I've seen you do.
Yeah, I'll be darned. Yeah, that is that's wild.
It's positive, but
it was positive. It was very intense. It was, and I got super duper hot when I was relaying the messages. Right, and I was like blood red. My face got hot. I was sweating. My armpits were wet. It was gross. I was like, I don't know. I got that energy flow. So, yeah. All right. Well, do you guys have any final thoughts? Eric, do you have any final thoughts on summoning UFOs? What do you think?
So
before we go,
I like I talked backstage earlier, I approach it the same way as I do paranormal, supernatural. You're going to accidentally bring something in when you're doing these type of investigations. It's the sad truth. Like I've told you before, I've had evil entities master energy where I thought a place felt very neutral, very calming, and end up getting something else in return. I'm a firm believer UFOs and aliens are the same way. I believe you're good and bad. Some of them can master energy. When I was young, I had that happen to me when I was learning how to do this stuff. So it's possible. I for one don't recommend it.
Okay, Barry, what are your final thoughts tonight?
If you're going to do that, you better make sure you're very protected and you know who you're contacting. And I would say avoid it. You know what I mean? Because most people don't know how to protect themselves, really. And they don't know who they're calling in. And even with protection, it's still a risk. You know what I mean? So got to have some type of protocols of protection. That's massive. But for me personally, I'm good. I'm not. I've had contact my whole life. I'm not going to initiate it in that way. It's going to happen a different way. So that's my opinion on it.
Awesome. I know. Well, y'all know me. I'm about to go to bed, and I will not be. I don't summon stuff. I don't have to. It just follows me, just like you, Barry, and you too, Eric. So yeah, y'all, everybody, just please be safe out there. We are living in very wild and kind of dangerous times right now. I'll be honest with y'all. I wouldn't get on an airplane right now. That's just me. Lots of weird stuff going on. Lots of things in the skies. And I always say, please stay safe out there and keep your head on a swivel, watch your back, and take care of each other. Okay. And don't go, pointing laser pointers at UFOs if you don't have to and stuff. But that's just me. That's just us tonight. And this has been a fantastic discussion. I can't wait to do this again. Y'all, I know, please come back and hang out again. This was a good time. And you guys, I want to thank everybody for the support tonight and for the super chats from Maureen and Gus. Caleb J, thank you so much. Kent Baxter, Boo the Beagle, and Dave Scott. man, where's Dave at? Dave's awesome. Y'all go over and watch some Spaced Out Radio tonight. They're live with Rob G, I think, tonight. So y'all please go over there and hang out after you leave here. And come back and see me on Monday, y'all. I'll be here Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific with another show. I just got to get some rest between now and then. All right. And thank you to everybody who came out to see me at the UFO conference. Y'all are the best. And I hope y'all enjoyed it. I know I did. And everybody at the Bigfoot Museum too. Shout out to y'all. I do have a new Bigfoot back here. I'll be posting pictures tomorrow. After I crop them. I had my 10-year-old son taking pictures. So it's going to be limited as how many pictures I'm going to put on in the public. Okay. Whatever. But everybody have a great night. Barry, thank you so much. Eric, thank you so much. And I'll see you guys on Monday. Oh, by the way, well, before we go, tell everybody where they can find you. Eric, where can people find you?
You can find me on YouTube at The Bizarre and the Unknown. And I also do shows with William Friday night, Saturday morning, Sunday morning at on YouTube at William Nighthawk 6630. You can find my books on Amazon. And of course, if anybody else has me on their show, I found on them shows too. Like I said, it's my third one today in between doing research. So we're video editing, but yeah, you can find me there. Well, tomorrow I'll be doing my normal show, which is The Bizarre and the Unknown. Saturdays is usually campfire chats. That's a safe place. If you have an encounter you want to talk about, I'll bring you on. You can either come on live or we can talk about it in chat. If you want to be anonymous, I totally 100% respect that, and we'll keep you anonymous. If that's the case, you can email me at cryptidmythological@gmail.com, and I can do a video on your encounter and keep you anonymous that way. But yeah, Saturdays, campfire chats, Eric guest. Sundays is The Bizarre and the Unknown.
Awesome. You guys, this is Freya. Yeah. Oh yeah. Look for the logo, y'all. And so my dog has made an appearance. This is official. This is Freya's first appearance on camera. She's right there. This is my dog. And so well, Barry, you need a dog too. You need to see your dog. Oh my gosh. Barry, where can people find you?
You can find me on YouTube under Barry Littleton. I'm also on Facebook, Patreon, also just under Barry Littleton. If you want to actually book a session with me, I've been doing sessions again. I started again. I took a little time off, but I'm under Barry Littleton 13@gmail.com, and I'm happy to get with you.
Awesome. Yeah, can I pet that dog? I know Maureen was in the chat tonight. Really highly recommending you for your services, Barry. And you always get great rave reviews. If you guys want any kind of sessions with Barry, go to Barry Littleton13@gmail.com. Send him an email. And awesome. Well, you guys, it's been wonderful. Thank you again for being here. And everybody, please stay safe out there. And come back and see me on Monday. Keep your head on a swivel. I wouldn't get in an airplane for a while. Just saying. And other than that, stay safe out there. All right, everybody. I'll see you later. Let's see.
Peace, love, and blessings, everyone.
Yeah. Holler, y'all. See you Monday.